That's a big-time play.
All right. Hey, welcome in. It's the Rod's Grind Morning Show. Sorry about the delay, guys. Just major issues, of course, today as usual, but try not to, but it is what it is. We got a guest today, so we had to get that figured out. I'm out of breath. I just got done running around trying to get some things handled, but good morning. We're going to get off and running this morning. We got a lot to talk about. Sam LaPorta, this mock trade. Man, yesterday, I feel like during the morning show, I mentioned a trade with Sam LaPorta when Eric was talking about bringing in more tight ends, and then fitting as it may be, someone decides to throw out a mock trade about Sam LaPorta yesterday. I'm not even sure who put it out, but I've seen it flying around, so we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker. I know we're a couple of days behind on this, but I wanted to let it settle before we really dive into it. Obviously, latest lines, news, rumors, all that good stuff we're going to talk about today. And then we have Chicken Nugget King. You guys probably know him from social media. I've known him for a few years now. We did some things way back in the day together in a different show. So it's about time. I've promised to bring him on many, many, many times, and I failed many, many, many times. So this morning we're going to have him in and have a conversation with one of your local Lions fan legends. So, all right, let's get off and running. Be back in 15 seconds. We'll be right back with Eric.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right. Hey, good morning, man. What's happening?
Well, unfortunately, today is not a April Fool's joke for us up here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We are under a winter storm warning today.
Jesus, man. April 2nd.
Yeah.
April
Snow this
2nd.
morning will give way to windy conditions and a wintry mix this afternoon. 100% chance of precipitation.
Well, have fun with that.
Accumulations of snow and ice.
It's going to be a little icy in Detroit, I think, by the time we're done with this show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yesterday, I don't know why I didn't do it, but I should have. I mean, I should have broke the news that the Lions re-signed Davenport yesterday, but I wouldn't think that anybody would have believed me. You know, because it was April Fool's, I figured that nobody would believe me at all. So, I mean, that is the news this morning, that Marcus Davenport will be re-signed with the Lions. Should be expected sometime this afternoon. They're working out a deal.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's serious. That's why I said I didn't want to talk about it yesterday.
Oh.
Because I didn't think, and I think I did see somebody post it yesterday as an April Fool's Day joke, and I'm like, ooh, like how fitting would that have been? Is our chat empty, or do I got the wrong chat open?
Oh no, there's people chatting up. 45 of them in there.
That's weird.
Because Joe says, Eric, I'm going golfing today, 70 degrees. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know why I've got the wrong chat open or how this chat's even in here. K-Biz is the only one in there. I told you, man, I got nothing but issues this morning. Like, Canva changed everything. Like, everything's all screwed up. And now I don't even have the chat. Very, very interesting. I'm going to have to go old school with the chat today. All right, so good morning to everyone out there in the chat. So it looks like we have Edge is not the answer, Attila, Zachary Cleary. Yeah, I do have a couple of shows pre-made. So when Canva decided to be on one, I couldn't put out a normal thumbnail to save my life. So I put out
today's thumbnail.
It's just a placeholder.
It's bold.
Yeah, it'll just be a placeholder. I'm going to use that to just create shows to let people know, hey, there's a show every day, and then I'll change the thumbnail ahead of time.
Yeah.
To whatever the conversation's going to be about.
So who broke this news about Davenport?
I did just now.
Oh, because I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, April 2nd, Day Fool's Day.
Yeah, because I verify. I look. None of this crap taking anybody's word.
I probably should have let that one fester for about 30 minutes. Everyone would have been, oh my God, did you hear the news? And it would have been all over Twitter, but
oh, God.
No, I don't want to be the brunt of that. So yeah, hopefully I got a few people. Attila just posted it yesterday in the chat. That's funny. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Jen, Adam Gakowski, good to see you in there. Nightbot already working his magic this morning. Zachary Cleary, rather be fishing. Joe Garcia, excuse me. Gino's in the house. Is it Gino Smith? Gino Smith, you in the house this morning? Good morning.
Oh, yeah.
Trace, of course, how you doing this morning? Mike P, Mrs. P, good morning. Sleepy Exotics. Who else is in here today?
Roger Orlowski.
James Hillman, MD. Mr. Thomas. Good morning, everybody. If I missed you, it's not by purpose. K-Biz is back in the house. I can't talk today. K-Biz is back in the right chat. Arf, good morning.
Where's Raw this morning?
Who?
Robbie.
Oh, I don't know.
Him in there this morning.
He might be coming in later. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get off and rolling, man. Let's start talking about these Lions. The latest news that broke yesterday was this mock trade. So I want to get this one out of the way. Yesterday we were talking about tight ends during, the draft portion of the show where we were discussing, what the Lions really could do or what they really need potentially on this roster still. And look, I'm in agreement that tight ends in Petsing's system are heavily utilized, and you have to have at least 4 tight ends, I think, on any roster, whether that's 3 on game day and 1 on the practice squad, or even 4 on game day. I mean, it really depends on the game, right? And I want to be very clear with that depending on the game itself, the matchup is going to depend on what your personnel groupings are. So you may have 3 tight ends up one week, you may have 4 the next. And that's why you need that additional 4th. You obviously need players, to be able to practice with. And then there's the whole thing about Sam LaPorta in his injury. I forgot to check my sound. Where is he at in his recovery? I haven't heard anything. Looks like sounds good. I haven't heard anything as far as Sam, being 100% healthy. The last I heard was he should be ready for OTAs. Which that's great news, right? I mean, if he's ready for OTAs, then we shouldn't have to worry about Sam this year. The question is, will this injury pop up again? If I understand the injury, he had a fusion surgery, and I've talked about it many times. I have multiple fusions in my back and neck, and they're not fun. I don't even know how players play with it, but they must be using some new disc. Like they have these new discs now that can actually spin and are, move and all that good stuff. But if it's a fusion, it's a fusion, right? I mean, it's fused together. So I'll just say this. What is Sam worth? That's the question. What is Sam worth right now to a team, to Washington for that kind of a trade to move all the way up to number 7 from 17? How does Sam LaPorta even enter this conversation? He's not even healthy right now. So how could you trade a player that has not hit the field since he went down? And these are the things that really drive me nuts, because sure, he could go in and do a workout, Eric. He could go in and do a physical. They could have him, running some routes or whatever, and he could do just fine. But the question is, can he play to the level that he was playing in his rookie year? That's what they're looking for. If you're going to trade a player from 17 to 7, including your 17th pick, and I think it was a late day 5 or a late round 5 pick, and you're getting a third in return as well, like, come on. Like, that is a huge stretch. I love Sam LaPorta, but I don't think Sam LaPorta is worth that much to where you can pull that kind of a trade off. So you're familiar with the trade?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about it?
Okay. Well, I'm going to give everyone a little bit of perspective. The Lions have done something similar to this in the past with Brad Holmes when he traded TJ Hawkinson, who was a first round tight end who was good, just like Sam LaPorta his first couple of years. And Brad saw the writing on the wall that he was going to want way too much money. He wanted top of the market money. And he did a trade with the Minnesota Vikings. So the way that trade worked was Hawkinson and a 2023 fourth round pick and a conditional 24 fourth round pick from Detroit in exchange for a 2023 second round pick and a 2024 third round pick. So they swapped 2 fourths for a second and a third and TJ Hawkinson. Doesn't sound like much, but you got to move up 2 rounds and a single round.
Yeah, give me those again. It was what did the Lions receive?
So the Lions received a 2023 second round pick, number 55.
That was that year's pick, right?
Yeah, and 2024 third round pick, so number 73.
So hold on, 2023 second.
Yep, and a 2024 third, number 73.
Where did this 2 times 4, it's a second and a third come in?
Okay, and then the Vikings, they received the 2023 fourth round pick, number 119, and then a conditional 2024 fourth round pick. And I don't remember the number on the fourth round pick.
It was conditional, though.
Yeah, and they did get it because he played enough.
Okay, so if you look at the trade scenario, then the Lions brought in a second and a third, and they gave up 2 fourths?
Yes, in 2 consecutive years.
And all they did was trade Sam LaPorta, and he didn't get his extension yet until he went to the Vikings.
Hawkinson.
Or I'm sorry, Hawkinson. And he didn't get his extension until he went to the Vikings. Okay, so if Sam LaPorta is worth a second and a third, and you have to give up this year's fourth, make sure you mute yourself. If you have to give up this year's fourth and next year's fourth, then I don't know that's enough. If you're trying to trade the 17th.
I don't know how that works with points.
Well,
you know what I mean?
How
much those are worth.
Yeah, so I'm about to do it here. And so let me back up. First, the pot calling the kettle black, right? When I see headlines like fact or fiction coming from the one person that writes more untruths than anybody out there. Come on, man. Wow. Let me bring. I
saw this trade. You wanted my opinion on it, and I thought this is fantasy land.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, is there any validity to it? I would say that before I go into the actual trade itself, and I want to hear what Chicken Nugget has to say about this too, which we will ask him. I guess where was I going to go with that? The trade on its face, I would say, could make sense if Brad and Dan didn't already come out and say that they're going to sign everybody from 23.
Yeah.
Okay, because they've already said that. They've already said they want to retain all the guys that they signed. The first 4 guys that they signed, they want to retain all those guys. And that is why they're operating under cap constraints, because they have to consider future, and 3 to 5 years down the road. So that means that either they're just saying that to say that, or do they really need to open up another 15 to 20 million for Sam LaPorta The question is, what is Sam LaPorta's market value going to be? Because I feel like his market value has been squashed, personally.
Yes. See, when Hawkinson got traded, this is kind of what my point of it was. Hawkinson was healthy. He was doing really good, and he was looking for top of the market, wanted to reset the tight end market kind of money. He wanted, I can't remember what it was at the time, but he wanted a lot of money.
Well, I think he did reset the market.
Yes, he did. And he was the top paid, and he did it again. He got another deal from the Vikings.
Okay, so right now, according to Spotrac, Sam LaPorta is worth $17 million a year. Okay, 17 mil AAV, which would be a 3-year, what's that, $54 million deal.
Yeah,
that's probably what he would get, a 3-year, $54 million deal. So I didn't go deep into this. I probably should have. I probably should have put all my research tools into this and went and looked at, okay, what does Washington's cap look like for the future? Can they even afford to bring in somebody at 17 mil a year like Sam LaPorta?
Did you happen to see that that chart that I sent you on X yesterday?
No, what chart?
It's the NFL cap hit in void years for 2027 through 2032. So at number 3 is the Detroit Lions with 195.5 million already put into these next 6 years
for dead cap.
For dead cap money. So in 2000 and
I mean that's a fictitious kind of number because the dead cap only happens if other things happen.
Yeah. So right now in 2030 we have $79.1 million sitting in dead cap.
In 2030.
In 2030. So we got to win that Super Bowl by 2029.
None of that stuff will even matter. I promise you, none of that stuff will matter by the time we get there.
But this is a good way to look at it. You were wondering how much money Washington has. Well, right now, Washington is at number 14 on my list. And next year in 2027, they have $16.2 million in dead cap money.
I'm more worried about the cap, not dead cap, because dead cap is fictitious.
Yeah.
It's a fake number. Because depending on, so if you, for instance, with Taylor Decker, he has dead cap amount because you released him, right? But you also saved a bunch of money. So how much are they saving, right? And how much are they going to have to roll over and yada, yada, yada. I get it. It's a rough number to look at, but I'm not worried about dead cap. So I want to park that for a moment. I want to go into the actual value of the trade.
Gotcha.
So the value of the trade, the number 17 pick is worth $950. The number 7 pick is worth $1,500, and that's points based on Pro Sports Reference in their draft pick value chart. There's 50 million charts out there. This is the one that I use from time to time. So the trade in question was Sam LaPorta plus a 2026 6th round pick, number 205. And number 205 is worth not much, probably 10 points. 9 points. 9 whole points. It's not worth squat.
1,700 to 9.
Yeah, and 205, this is what doesn't make any sense. So I'm reading, where this one article says that it is a 2026 6th round pick, and then it says number 205. But 205, according to this, is a 7th round pick, not a 6th round pick. So it would be a 7th round pick, again, if 205 is the number. So the Lions would receive a 2026 first, which would be number 7, and a 2027 third? Like, a 2027 third is worth squat, right? It's not worth much. You can pretty much whack that in half, or at least about 30%. But let's go with that 3rd round pick being number what? What numbers should we do? Where's Washington going to finish?
Middle of the round.
Middle of the round.
Just put them 15, yeah.
All right, so let's just go pick 77. We'll stick with 7s. Pick 77, that's worth 205. So just in trade value, if the Lions were to trade Sam LaPorta with pick number 17 and pick number 205 from this year's draft pool, we would be sending out 959 points plus a player, Sam LaPorta. In return, we would be receiving pick number 7, a third-round pick in 2027, and that value is 1,705 points, plus Ben Sinnott. So are you telling me that Sam LaPorta is worth, now this is how I would do this, Ben Sinnott's not worth anything, right? But you take 1,705, you're going to minus 959. It's math today, so I got to get out a calculator. Remember back in the day, I used to rip these numbers off in my head.
Nope.
746. So 746 from a pick standpoint of value would be
second round pick.
That's a first round pick.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like pick 23 between 23 24. So you're telling me that Sam LaPorta is equal to a first round pick?
Well, he was the second round pick, wasn't he?
Yeah. So you're telling me now that Sam LaPorta is worth a first round pick with this trade scenario, because I'm telling you right now, Ben Sinnott, let me just look up Ben Sinnott. He was probably a UDFA. No, he was a round 2 pick. So that makes it even worse. So you're telling me that we're going to get pick 21 of the second round back in Ben Sinnott, and we're trading a second round pick that somehow we're getting a first round value out of Sam LaPorta, who's injured, by the way. Who's injured? At least he hasn't played since his injury.
Peter Van Larhoven says we should be looking at trading Branch.
That's not going to happen either.
No.
None of these players are going to get moved while they're injured. I don't see where anyone can even think, and it's not against you, Peter, but I don't see where anyone can even think that these moves are legit, that they could happen. Sam LaPorta maybe a little bit more so because he's, outside of maybe the injury scope where he could probably go and do a physical and pass it.
He could be 100% healthy. We don't know.
He could be, but Branch, no way. Now, I saw a video, which was nuts. I saw this video yesterday of Micah Parsons, sidebar. I saw a video of Micah Parsons yesterday wrestling against a sumo wrestler. And I don't know if this is a new video, if this is an old video, but it looked like Jordan Love was in the video too. And I don't know if it was AI, but someone put it out. And if that video's legit, Micah Parsons is ready to go. And I don't know how that's possible.
No, they showed he was just starting to walk.
So, I mean, he was legit wrestling a sumo wrestler. He was driving, pushing all of his weight into this guy, which he didn't move. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that he shouldn't be able to put that kind of weight on that leg already. And I couldn't imagine that his team would allow him to do that. So it's got to be an old video or fake.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah, because all reports right now are saying that Mike is going to miss the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season at least.
Yeah. So back from sidebar here, we'll press the unpause button. This trade makes 0 sense. Even if Sam LaPorta is healthy, this trade makes 0 sense. If we look at Ben Sinnott's stats, since he's been in the league.
What year was he drafted?
24.
Okay.
So 1 year younger, right? 1 year younger. Let's see. Last year he had 114 yards on 14 targets.
Yay.
And the year before that, in his rookie season, he had 5 targets, 5 receptions for 28 yards. This was a second round pick?
That's our new outlet. Because, listen, Jared Goff last year put up incredible top 5 numbers in every category for a quarterback. And over half the season, he was missing Sam LaPorta, his outlet, his go-to guy, his touchdown machine.
1,000%.
So listen, Sam LaPorta is so important to Jared Goff. Jared Goff's number one player that he needs more than anyone else is Sam LaPorta.
Sam is the seam guy, man. I mean, he's, like you said, your outlet, and
he's your protector. On all these plays where, like David Montgomery didn't get this guy coming around the edge. Well, that's Sam, because there was no tight end that could block last year.
Well, we had Brock Wright too. Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah, but we lost him 2 games later.
So I just don't see it. I honestly, Eric, I don't see it, man.
He decided to do a head flip and break his neck.
Yeah, I remember watching that game, and I was like, I can't believe he just did that. He's probably going to be injured. And then, like, a couple days later, he's injured. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, there was no need to dive and land on your skull. That was ridiculous.
Just go down.
So I guess to end this conversation here, I want to bring in Chicken Nugget next. This trade makes 0 sense, even from a cap consideration standpoint, the trade value standpoint, the player for player standpoint, the pick value standpoint. I mean, none of it makes any sense. But what did it do yesterday, Eric?
Oh, it got people talking.
Got everybody talking, right? That's what it's designed to do. Yeah. Doesn't make sense. Does anyone know who even put this out?
It was a guy from one of the NFL writers.
An NFL writer put this out, and they don't even understand how pick value works.
Yeah. Here, let me.
Wow. And then other people jumped on it. Aside from calling bullshit, I mean, they just let it roll. I don't get it, man.
So it was NFL.com analyst Eric Edholm proposed a hypothetical blockbuster trade yesterday that would send Detroit Lions tight end Sam LaPorta to the Washington Commanders. The proposed trade, labeled as a win-win scenario, would involve Detroit sending LaPorta and pick number 17 and a 2026 sixth-round pick in exchange for the Commanders tight end Ben Sinnott, pick 7 and a 2027 third-round pick.
Well, I guess I'm more disappointed, Eric, that it's like people don't even look at this stuff and look into it and say, this doesn't make any sense. Like, no way would any team do something like this with a player like Sam LaPorta. So I'm calling fail.
Yeah. So his reasoning, this is his reasoning.
Big
Edholm suggests the move would allow the Lions to secure a higher draft pick and manage future cap space as LaPorta faces a potential high-value contract extension. Well, if he's injured and he only played half the year last year, I think that's going to hurt his overall value.
1,000% it will. All right, let's take a brief break. Unless you got something else you want to add to this, take a brief break. I'm going to bring in Chicken Nugget.
So I got one more thing. If you're Brad Holmes, do you get on top of this and sign Sam LaPorta to his new contract as soon as possible?
No.
Or do you wait halfway through the season and see if he's break or bust?
It would be 100% irresponsible for Brad Holmes to do anything with Sam LaPorta's contract at this time. 100% irresponsible. You have to. I mean, just like with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah,
they did mention that they wanted to see him move, and that's why 8 weeks or whatever it was through the season, just before the trade deadline, that's why he got his extension. And if you remember last year, that's what I kept telling everybody, like, no extension's going to get done in the spring. No extension's going to get done in the summer. The extension, if it does get done, it'll be, during the season or at the end of the season. They have to see him play. And they felt confident enough that he was fine, and that's why they did it. It's going to be the same thing for Branch, and it's going to be the same thing for Sam LaPorta. Now, what I have heard, as far as extensions go, is that the Lions are trying to get in front of the Bijan Robinson extension. So that should happen here soon. I would expect, if not right at the draft, right after the draft, that they're going to try to get this done, because depending on what they do, who the Falcons take, I guess that could dictate, what they do with Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, and if you remember a couple of years ago, we did Panay Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown at the draft. You know, it was
That's
the
right.
Detroit draft, but it was the perfect time to get those done and out of the way and ahead of everyone else. Because now, if you look at their contracts, especially Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, the wide receivers looking at $42 million now for the top of the market. Now he's I don't even know if he's top 10 anymore.
Who's that?
Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he was number one. He was the highest paid for.
Oh yeah, I think he's still in the top 5 or 6, but
is he?
Yeah, I mean, it's just smart money, right? You want to get in front of it, and you want to make sure.
Jigba just got 42 million.
Yeah, he got a crazy amount, but yeah, you want to get in front of these things. You don't want to be left holding the bag where now you got to pay more than the last guy, because that's just how the NFL works. They want to one up the last guy, and so based on, again, what I was told, that Gibbs, they're working on trying to get that done now, like before the draft, at the draft, or right after the draft. They're trying to beat the Bijan Robinson extension, because both of these guys are going to get great money, and whether it's more than Saquon Barkley, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me thinks, and I want to save the rest of this for when I bring him in, but when part of me thinks that the intention to have a dual back system also pushes down the value a little bit, because you're not giving him 100% of the carries. But now that you're about to sign him to a mega deal, he's going to get all the carries, because you want to get your usage out of him. But I think that you want to be responsible with his health too. So, all right, we'll take it.
Who do you think gets the bigger, more money contract, Bijan or Gibbs?
We'll answer that when we get back. I'll be right back. All right, it is draft time in the Motor City, man. We're excited about the draft. Draft to be here in just a few short weeks, in part of the draft series for this channel, bringing in guests between now and the draft, during the draft, after the draft. Next week, Monday, we'll have a scout coming in, a evaluator, an analyst, and then every day we're trying to do 1 to 2 of those with SIS, Sport Info Solutions. But today, we have a local Lions fan legend and chicken nugget king, right? I think Anthony, as he's known. Good morning, man. How are you? Actually, let me make sure you're unmuted first. Hold on, buddy. I probably muted you. There you go. Good morning, man. How are you?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Hey, that's good. That's good to hear, man. Hey, E, you been holding up well, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking out, brother. That's all I'm doing. Looking out
Up
for
here
you.
in the Great White North. Oh God.
Yeah, it's getting colder. But to all the guys out there in the chat, man, how you doing? It's me, CNK313. Yes, I'm real. It's not AI. Okay. Just take care. Just take easy. So let the games begin.
Hey, I saw you posted the other day that you got some subscribers on the channel. Did you start a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's Chicken Nugget King 313. It's on YouTube. I post, game day vlogs. I get my thoughts on certain takes, whether if it's NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. I do it all. I cover it in a perspective of my own, the way I think, the way I see things as a sports talk guy. So I got 361 subscribers. And I'm trying to just grow and take it, one step at a time and do the best I can. So a lot of, viewers and, people that like can share and enjoy, and
well, you got 362 now.
Thanks. Yeah, that's up in the number. That's one up. But I really appreciate that from, a lot of subscribers that's watching and believing in me. So I'm just doing what I can, to make sure that it's in the right place at the right time and, keeping Detroit sports alive.
It's important, man. There's so many people doing things out there now today, and getting all the different perspectives are extremely valuable. I'm trying to get your channel pulled up right now. I didn't know you had one, so I just subscribed to you too. Let me post it in the chat. Everybody go give him a follow. Obviously, you want to subscribe, follow him on Twitter. There you go. I just put him up in the chat. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to his channel. You're going to get a different view, man. You're going to get a different view, different perspective. It's kind of cool you're doing all the different sports, but today we're talking Detroit Lions. So we were talking about Sam LaPorta, this mythical mock trade. I don't know if you heard me kind of break it down, but from a value standpoint, this doesn't make any sense. Essentially, the Lions would be putting a first-round grade on Sam LaPorta in this trade scenario. We would be getting a tight end back that has barely had 30 catches in 2 seasons. How do you feel about this, proposed mock trade? Do you think there's any validity to it? Do you think the value's right? What is your idea here on Sam LaPorta?
Honestly, I think Sam LaPorta is the security blanket for Jared Goff. That's first and foremost. Secondly, age can play a factor in a league like this. And then third, money can play a factor as well too. So it doesn't really have an eye opener of when you're going to re-sign a guy or keep a guy. But if you re-sign and keep the guy, you want to make sure that he can maintain with the offense and he can flourish right away. So with Ben, the guy that you guys just mentioned, who's only been in the league for about some short, change, I think he could come in and do well with Jared Goff, because if you got Jared Goff as your quarterback, you're going to be a dog. So that's definitely a no-brainer there. But for me, I don't like mock trades. I just don't like it because it makes me feel some type of way about letting go our guys and letting go guys that we really do need. So I just don't like it. I don't like it at all, but I just want to see what they would have to bring to the table, blocking wise, so if you don't block, there's no rock, and it's important to the game.
That's 100%. Look, I don't know much about Ben Sinnott. I mean, clearly he has not been, a headline type of a tight end. This would immediately put the Lions then, I guess, in the conversation of getting a tight end in the draft. So let's just say that this happens. Okay, the 3rd round pick is 2027. That doesn't help us this year, but it does give Brad more ammunition to move around in this draft, potentially, move up into the 3rd round, move up into the 2nd round, maybe back his way back into the 1st round. So if the Lions were to do a move like this, how do you feel about Kenyon Sadiq? I mean, he is the next freak. Not only as a tight end, I see him as an X receiver. That's how I look at Kenyon Sadiq. He's not just a tight end. Sure, he can block, but that's not his thing. He's been known to be a decent blocker, but that guy's a move tight end. He's out there trying to catch passes. He's down, stretching the field, working the boundaries and the perimeters, and he's obviously a red zone threat in the end zone. He's just a freak of an athlete. I mean, he runs sub 4.4 time. He's 235 pounds. He's 6'5". They just don't come around very often. We've seen it also with, Kyle Pitts, who was supposed to be all those things too, and it didn't really flourish yet for Kyle Pitts. He's had some good seasons, but has not been to the likes of Trey McBride or even a Sam LaPorta in his rookie year. So I guess Kenyon Sadiq would be the obvious choice for me. I mean, Max Clare would also be a nice choice later, but do you see the Lions moving all the way up to number 7 to grab Kenyon Sadiq, or do you think they go in a different way?
I think a different approach would be the move for the Detroit Lions, because if you know Brad Holmes, he likes to go with a different approach. He's not always going to go with like the star type of guy, but if he does, then you add Kenyon Sadiq. You got Isaac TeSlaa, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then you got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got a lot of this talent, and then you add Kenyon Sadiq. You're gonna be like top 5, top 4 easily in offense. And I really like Kenyon Sadiq. That definitely made me smile. I mean, he comes out of Oregon, so when you got the Oregon Ducks playing for a franchise like this, they're gonna come out and ball.
Seen it with Penei Sewell, right? And look, Kenyon Sadiq would be be a handful, but I think it would be a better play to stick and pick at 17 and still get Kenyon Sadiq. There's a possibility that he's still available. A lot of different mock drafts have Kenyon Sadiq going after 17. So if you want to add somebody like that, I think it would be wasteful of Brad Holmes to get rid of Sam LaPorta. And if your play is to go get Kenyon Sadiq, I think there's other ways to do it. But I did a mock draft, a couple of them yesterday. Eric, I don't know if you know this, but I was on for like another hour and a half.
Oh, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. So I did a mock draft yesterday where if I were to move up, you're going to miss out on everything, because if you're going to give up that kind of a, that draft cap, you're still picking at 50 and then you're picking at 118 potentially. There's just nothing there at 118, 128. There's not a whole lot there without a big reach from my perspective. I think, the teams that are picking 4 or 5 picks in front of pick 100, those are the teams that are going to end up with a really good draft. This draft has been said to be very deep in certain areas, but I'm going to put the caution to the wind here. After the top 100, this draft falls off in a hurry. So there's multiple questions in here. One, do you think it would make more sense then to keep Sam LaPorta and then try to stick and pick? And if you get Sadiq, great. Or if there's another way to move up a few spots, maybe you only have to move up to 12. Maybe you have to move up to 13. Maybe Kenyon Sadiq's still there at 12 or 13, and now you only have to trade a third round pick, maybe a future third round pick, and you move up 4 or 5 spots. I think that would make more sense, and you still have Sam LaPorta that you don't have to pay this year. And if you do, you could get him done in the offseason, right? You can't do a 5th-year option, so you're kind of screwed there. How do you feel about maybe sticking and picking, or maybe just moving up a little bit as opposed to going all the way up to number 7?
I think sticking and picking is a good thing. I think that's good for us. Obviously, I don't think about going around the way or around about just drafting someone, or just thinking about keeping someone, whether if it's a 5th-year option, whether if it's a 4th-year option or not. I think that the key to go out there and find talent is to make sure that talent can ascend and not defloat or go low. So whether if you go 17 or 12 or 7 or 4 or whatever in the draft, there's going to be talent there, it's going to be valuable. So I'd rather stick and pick, and you don't want to miss out on trenches, offensive line, defensive line. Those are the things that really matter going forward, because offensive line, if you give me a chance, is that with Penei Sewell, he can go from right to left, right? Mm-hmm. And with him working from the right, he can definitely give you more protection there too, just as much as he could from the left. So, I've been hearing things about, Penei going left and then just leaving that right tackle open for a guy like Spencer Fennell, or guys like Monroe Freeling, anybody out there, trench wise, that could help out the offensive line and just, go from there, So I think that would be good. Or you can go out and get an edge, Akeem Mesidor, Ruben Bain Jr., or guys like Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Shout out to the Aggies. You can go anywhere in this direction, but this is all about trenches, rather than other spots,
So trenches are obviously an important piece to any team, and you feel, I guess, convicted in a way that the Lions should pay more attention to their trenches this year?
Absolutely.
I would agree. Let me ask you a question, because you brought up a couple of names like Cassius Howell or Ruben Bain. Where do you fall in the arm length conversation? I don't know how often you visit my channel, but I've done a lot of work in research. I've built a couple of proprietary systems that help me evaluate players, especially just for the draft. And arm length has always been a very important key for me. I realize that some teams and some people don't value the arm length as important as I do. But I've watched the trends, and I look at players that can't wrap and tackle, that can't disengage off of blocks. And arm length has always been probably, in my opinion, the first reason as to why they can't. If you have a longer length, it's easier to get long with the stab arm. It's easier to reach around and grab a running back as they're running through the hole. or a quarterback that's trying to skirt outside or whatever, right? As you're engaged with an offensive blocker or a tight end or whatever it is. So where are you in the arm length? Because players like Ruben Bain that are as tenacious as they come, violent at the point of attack, hard hitter, does just about everything right, but he has a high missed tackle rate. And he has short arms, and those two things align to where I believe that is why he suffers with the high missed tackle rate. Same thing for Cassius Howell. Vicious, violent at the point of attack, speed for days. Missed tackles are a problem. So give me your thoughts on where you are in that conversation, and I guess what do you think about Ruben Bain or Cassius Howell come to Detroit if that were an option?
I mean, that would be good. Either one would be good, and it would help out Hutch opposite well. Knowing that we picked up some guys from free agency like DJ Wanham, guys like Peyton Carter, and even, having Ahmed Hassan too, from last year's draft. I think that it's not a crapshoot to help these guys work on their weaknesses and get them better. Because a lot of teams are looking at strengths, and they're not only just looking at strengths, but they're going to look at the mental mindset of whether if this guy can break through his weakness and if this guy cannot. Because if he cannot, then, we're going to look past that and then just go elsewhere with what we're going to do with our direction. You know what I mean? So I think I'm 100% within the arm's length of trying to make sure that we fix the weaknesses rather than just saying, hey, we got good strengths, but weaknesses are important to fix. Right then and there.
Well, so let me ask you then. So arm length. I'll give you a scenario. Myles Garrett.
Right.
He has like 34.5-inch arms. Best defensive end in the league. Best defensive end in the league probably the last 10 years, maybe since TJ Watt or JJ Watt, retired. JJ Watt, long arms, right? TJ Watt's right on the borderline. Micah Parsons, longer arms. If I went down the list and I could point to every elite player at the defensive end position, pass rush, outside linebacker position, almost 95% of them have the requisite arm length of 33.5 inches. Guys that are sub 33, guys like Bain or Howell, Bain is sub 31. He would be the only player in the last 20 years to be drafted in the first round with sub 31-inch arms as a defensive end. And there's been 0 defensive ends with double-digit sacks since 1999 with sub 31-inch arms. So those are some glaring issues for me. Like the precedent is there, right? So when I look at all of the elite guys out there, the arm length is there for them. It's the guys that don't have it that are not stacking up to the competition. So you mentioned weaknesses. Is having the requisite arm length, call it 33.5 inches or more, is that a strength in your opinion? Or, if it's sub 33, is that a weakness? So how do you navigate that as you're picking a player? What is more important to you about that player's physique?
I think what's more important to me in that player's physique is to have the right arm length, the strongest arm length for you to get past an offensive tackle and then flourish off the line and getting, chances to stop a running back or a quarterback at need. But if you got short arms, it's like you said, it's going to be a glaring issue. It's going to be a glaring problem. And, you can't have those kind of glaring problems. It's like having short hands as a quarterback, right? But you got to, keep the ball in your hand and protect the ball and make sure that you get the ball out and, make sure you have stronger hands to, make sure you're doing good things with it. But if you can't,
you got to hold on to the damn thing, right?
Yeah, right. Hold on to it. So you just can't drop it. You can't drop your skills. You can't drop your production as a player. And when you drop your skills of production as a player with short arms or a big body length or a short body length, it's going to be a difficult value. It's going to be really, really, really very difficult if you can agree, or. No,
I agree. I think that it is. I think that it is a difficult proposition to bring in a player that doesn't meet the requisite arm length or the rest of the intangibles. And I think that there's a defining difference there. The intangibles are all the things that the player does on and off the field as a teammate in the community. Their personality, how they train, and then you have the on-field agility and measurements and all of those things that I think that there's non-negotiables for me. And the reason why they're non-negotiable is because they've held up. I mean, through the test of time. I think that when you look at time in a vacuum and you look at players that have succeeded in the NFL, it's pretty much been the ones that have met all of those minimal thresholds. You have outliers. We have outliers every year. They're rare. That is why less than 1% of the 1% that are an outlier actually achieve great things in the NFL. Eric, get your thoughts on this conversation here. I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, but I guess just kind of run through this draft, is proposed a couple of scenarios for the Lions. One, we could end up with a defensive end again with short arms. Two, we could end up with an offensive lineman that maybe is not a true left tackle. Or three, we could end up with an offensive lineman that maybe hasn't had enough time in college. Or even four, we could end up with a defensive end that's 25 or 26 years old, or we may end up with a tight end in the first round. There's so many different variables, right? Mm-hmm. So when you navigate all these waters, what is most important to you about a prospect? Agility, measurements, intangibles? Like, what are the most important things for you when you're looking at bringing a player in the first round? I don't care about 2, 3, 4 through 7, the first round where you really have to hit it right.
Yeah. So like I said yesterday, there's two options for me. It's either you're going to get a tackle, offensive tackle, or you are going to get an edge player. That's the only two positions for me that are worth it in the first round at number 17. And this is if we stick and pick, we don't move around. Those two positions, you have to build through the trenches. That's how it's done. Last year, we took a defensive lineman. This year, I truly believe it's going to be an offensive lineman. I don't think it's going to be an edge. This is a pretty deep edge class. And if we get back down to number 50, if Falk or Messidor is still there, I think that's who ends up going to the Lions. I know a lot of people are mocking other guys to the Lions in the second for an edge, but I truly believe it's going to be someone like Caden Proctor or Spencer Fano or.
Well, I guess the question is, my question is the intangibles. Like what are the most important features of the player that you are targeting?
Well,
so whether it's defensive end or offensive line, it's not the player. Forget the name. It's the features. So the arm length, the speed, the vertical, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's not what I want. It's what the Detroit Lions want. And when I was looking at centers, that was the reason I like Pat Coogan so much. Was because in the national championship game and the game before, I saw him pulling and running down the sideline and taking out corners and safeties. And this guy had wheels. He could move around the offensive line. So that's what I want I think that's what the Lions want in whoever they pick at offensive lineman. That guy is going to have to be someone who can pull and move and plug up a hole when needed and stop that guy, the edge, from getting around the edge. So he's going to have long arms. He's going to have big hands. He's going to have some weight on that body and not get pushed around. Because the last thing we need is for someone to come in at either left tackle or right tackle and be a downgrade from Taylor Decker. And Taylor Decker was injured last year, so we are hoping to get someone to be an upgrade to what we had last year in Taylor Decker. So on the flip side, for an edge, we don't necessarily need that guy that gets 40 sacks a season. We need a guy that can hold and contain and stop the run. And
why is that, though? Because a lot of our fan base thinks that we only need guys that get sacks, but why is it important to your point? No. And then I want same answer from you, Anthony. Is the I guess the prerequisite for our fan base is you have to get sacks and sacks only. But why is it important that we have a guy off the edge that can actually set an edge?
Well, because that stops the run. That stops these mobile quarterbacks that have been killing us for years. You don't have to use a linebacker as a spy then. If you have an edge that can set the edge and not let that quarterback get around, and while that quarterback's not getting around, Hutch is coming from the other side and getting him from the backside. or the opposite. Hutch is holding his edge, and this guy, whoever he ends up being, gets around and gets his sack. And he can get a 3-second sack, a 4-second sack. I don't care how long it takes. I know you like them quick, you like them fast, but
all things are relative. I mean, it depends on the play.
If both edges are doing their job, they work together as a team. And that's what we need. We need more teamwork and less me work.
I like that. Anthony, what do you think is the most important? So we're talking about, same question. I guess it kind of goes back to the most important feature. So let me ask you this. What do you think the Lions should do with their first pick at 17? What player makes the most sense for you? You said trenches were important, but which player makes the most sense for you?
I mean, I honestly would stick to my, guns, and go with Monroe Freeling. I think Freeling would make sense at 17. I think that guy definitely would fit with this offensive line, with the nucleus that it has. And he has some speed, he has some work, he has some time to, get ready, get meshed in and just provide something that's pretty good, a pretty good spark. So if he's gonna be there at 17, take him. Don't overlook him. Just take him right then and there. And it's not just the name. It's just the work. It's the work ethic. It's the way that you come out and be a great athlete on the field and off the field. There's great variables that you mentioned too. Will, is that it's all about the variables. It's all about making sure that you stay with it, not just the name. Stay with it. Stay working.
So you think offensive line, Monroe Freeling? I'm not as high on Monroe Freeling as a left tackle. I think he's going to be a great right tackle. I think he could eventually turn into a left tackle. I just think he's a little bit light. His hips are really high. His pad level can creep up at times. But those are the fine tuning details, right? Just from a player perspective, I think trenches is the answer. And whether that's offense or defense, I think it's the right answer that the Lions need to invest in the trenches. But I'm not afraid of going outside the box. So I'm going to ask this next question to you. I've proposed that the Lions should take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren simply because of the fact that we don't know what's going on with Kirby. You would have thought that he'll be back by now, and it's going to be a little bit too late when OTAs come to find out if he's on the field or not. Because if I'm Kirby Joseph and I haven't played since October 6th of last year, or week 6, whatever date that was against the Chiefs, I want to be out there in OTAs when all the rookies come in, and I want to show what I can do on the field. And I think that the Lions are probably going to want to see that as well. I'm sure they're doing something in-house anyway. They're having them run around and do things potentially in-house that we're not going to see. But it's too late to find out then that there's a problem. And we don't have the guys on this roster to replace Kirby Joseph just yet. We brought in Chuck Clark. I think he's very valuable. But the option for me would be Emmanuel McNeil-Warren because these guys don't come around very often. So what would you think if the Lions did that?
I would like that. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. I actually saw a video where he talked about going head up with Derrick Henry. He likes that challenge. He likes to be a tough physical guy. I like it. It's a provider, man. And when you talk like that, that means you're ready to go. You're ready to put the pads on. You're ready to get the cleats on, ready to ball. I like his energy. And I would like that, whether if it's 17 or not. And I mean, I'm glad that you talk about defense because that's the most important thing too in the game of football. If you don't have defense, you're not winning championships. Look at the past couple teams that have done that. And they succeeded pretty well. So if you add that to the core, to the, DB room, everything's going to work out and, flourish pretty well. And I do, have my eyes on seeing, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph get back. And hopefully they do get back in time. But I'm not going to just rush that because I even talked about it with my moms, is that, Brian Branch could possibly see like November, December, maybe that kind of realm. Or, Kirby Joseph, I think Kirby Joseph is just going to, sit back, watch from the outside looking in and, just go out there and figure out what he can do to, contribute going far. Because he was a good contributor on our secondary, right?
Kirby,
so obviously,
I mean, Kirby he's a number one free safety. I mean, it's going to be crushing if we don't have him back on the field. I mean, if fans are thinking he's going to get 10 interceptions every year, you can forget about that. I don't think that one that doesn't happen very often. You know, if it's a 5, 6, 7 interception a year guy, like that's even incredible. I don't even know what to expect from Kirby right now. I really don't. Like, even just considering the fact that he may not play or may not be or could be a shell of himself, I think that's a huge loss. And if I'm Brad Holmes, like, I've got to get the best safety possible, because when he was in, agree or disagree, when he was in, we were winning ball games. When he was in, we were giving our offense more of an opportunity to win. And and that is what a defense is supposed to do. Now, you and I would disagree that defense wins championships. I think defense is needed. To me, it's an offensive system now. It's an offensive league now. But to your point, you need defense to give your offense more opportunity. You need defense to keep the other offense off the field, again, giving your offense more opportunity. And when Kirby Joseph was playing at a high level, man, it seemed like every game he was giving the Lions an opportunity, whether it was a peanut punch, an interception, a breakup, something. Now, he did let a few explosives go as well, but that's why we need that other safety, because we don't have either one of them right now. So anyway, continue on.
If I may, there's a name that I like out there too, out of TCU, Bud Clark.
Yeah,
I like that kid. I definitely think he's a good player too. He did good in TCU. But as far as that goes, Kirby Joseph, I think he can, you know, just play a different role. While, you know, if you understand what I'm saying, is like a different role, a different like way to approach the game, you know, as a starter. Because as a starter, you never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to anticipate in the moment when you're out there on the field. And the first thing you do when you're out there on the field is just make sure that you just stay potent.
Crazy.
Hold
stay
on focused at the moment and do what you got to do as a player. Whether if that's getting PBUs, whether if it's getting tackles, whether if it's just getting interceptions, make sure you put an impact out there on the field, and don't, you know, let all the noise go in your head. You know, just leave the noise out. Just go out and ball.
Give me 1 second. I just noticed a little audio issue. I tried to turn your auto gain control off. I'm just getting clipping I'm getting clip. Do you hear the clipping, Eric?
Yeah, I heard it for a minute and then it went away.
I still hear it. So anyway, Eric, you like Bud Clark too, right?
Yeah. So he was just talking about Bud Clark, and I had a chance to interview Bud Clark at the Combine, and actually got to talk to him for as long as I wanted.
Nobody was there?
Yeah, there was like 4 people at his podium.
Wow.
And so I really got to talk to him for quite a long time, and I didn't videotape all of it, but the kid is very down to earth. He is a Dan Campbell kind of guy. He is all fuss, no muss. He is about business. And then when we watched him doing his drills, man, I really liked him. He was really fluid. He was catching everything. He's got hands, so I could see this guy being a second, third round move back up and pick up Bud Clark.
All right. So do you have us back or not? You can't hear us?
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Let's see what's going on.
Let me know if you got us back.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you if you can hear us.
Yeah. I felt like I was having a little technical difficulties with the sound.
All right, do me a favor. What is your sound set at right now? Your volume bar?
My volume bar is up to a green.
Yeah, I mean, is it like at 100% and on 90%, 80%? On your phone, your phone's volume, what is it set at?
It's up. It's up. It's 100.
Yeah, turn it down to like 90. Like, just turn it one step down. There we go. We're just getting a little clipping. So, anyway, so you're talking about Bud Clark, Eric, and yeah, look, yep. I'm not as high on Bud Clark. I realize that, and I said this the other day, when a lot of fans do PFF mock drafts, and I'm not accusing anybody of this, but I see it every year, that we seem to dial into PFF's board or PFSN's board or whoever's board you're looking at, and they see Bud Clark and the Lions are picking at let's say 76, and Bud Clark is 77. Well, I'm supposed to take Bud Clark because he's ranked at 77 and I want a safety. It's not accurate, right? I mean, and this is why I challenged everybody a couple of months ago. I said, go save all of the Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, Field Yates. I don't care. Whoever's putting out those mock drafts, go save all of those. Their top 50s, their top 100s. Save them. And then watch how they change week to week, month to month. And then when you get to the draft and they put their final one out, see how much it's changed then. And I've also explained that, I'm very transparent with this, that things that I see in the beginning are going to change as well. But I try to get as close as I can to what I'm going to see at the very end. But everything changes with the combine. And to me, it should only really change once. It's everything pre-combine and then post-combine. Whatever you saw post-combine, it should stay. Now, then you have pro days. So then pro days could also change based on who tested, who didn't at the combine, if they tested or if they didn't at the pro day. If you didn't test at the combine or the pro day and all I have is your film to go on, I'm already going to give you a lower grade because I didn't see you match that performance at all this year. And then we don't know about injury. If someone's suffering from some sort of an injury and they can't perform, they can't go out and produce anything, then what are they? I think that will artificially push their draft value down because who wants to take an injured player? They may think, well, this player was great when he wasn't injured, but right now he's battling an injury. So am I really going to put that player above another player of the same category? Probably not. But as far as Bud Clark goes, I see way better athletes than Bud Clark. I think he's a little stiff. And I want a free safety right now for Kirby Joseph. And when I look around the board, man, Zaki Wheatley, I mentioned him when we were down in Indy, Eric, that I think he was going to be a big-time riser. And so I don't know, for you, Anthony, if you haven't, checked any tape out on Zaki Wheatley, I would advise it. And then go match that up to Bud Clark. And I think what you're going to see is a better football player that for whatever reason, he's rising fast right now. I mean, he's gained at least 60 points in the overall top 100, 150 boards out there, and I think that value is correct. Not just because I said it would be, but because I think that he's a better football player overall. The name that I like early though is AJ Halsey. I think AJ Halsey is a better football player than Bud Clark too. But there's names, right? So there's options. We've talked about safety, talked a little bit about offensive line. You like Monroe Freeling. Eric, who was your number one overall tackle yesterday? I forget.
Tackle?
Yeah, it was the Clemson kid, right?
Yeah. Blake Miller. And so I like Caden Proctor. So let me ask you a question on that. Caden Proctor has been my number one guy since December. I fell in love with his work, his size, all the intangibles, everything's there. Just a hair short in the arm length, but a lot of guys are in this draft. When I look at true left tackles, there's only a couple in this draft. How would you feel about Caden Proctor? Have you looked into him at all, and why or why not Monroe Freeling versus Caden Proctor?
I looked at him. I definitely did. I like him too, and I think that he would be fit. He'd fit nice in the offensive line as well. With his play with the Crimson Tide, he did a great job protecting Ty Simpson, and just sticking with his P's and Q's and just going out there and letting it happen. I mean, there is some things that he can work on to get better and utilize within time. But him being a part of this offensive line is another go around that I would like. I even selected him on my mock draft as well too. Not just Monroe Freeling, not just Spencer Fano or different other options at offensive tackle or guard or center. I definitely liked him as well too. I think 74 can definitely ball. It's a lot of ballers in this year's draft, but there's going to be some problems with arm length, like you said. There's going to be some problems. It's going to be a little bit of tweaks of that, but it happens. It's not just only 1 year thing round. Yeah,
it's not just one player. You mean? Yeah, there's plenty of players out there that are deficient in something. I look for all the things that they do very well that could potentially overweigh the small deficiencies. Obviously, measurements. We can't change that. Speed, it's not learned. That's you either have it or you don't. But the small things like technique, they're not small, they're big, but technique things can be changed. and all things come through practice, right? You have to have that drive, and I think there's a lot of players out there that, you know, they work hard, but there's a certain collection of players that work that much harder. And for me to become a Detroit Lion, I think that we could all agree that Dan and Brad want violent, vicious guys that get after it, that love football, that's what they're all about is football, that, you know, they eat, breathe, you know, everything football. And if they're not sleeping, they're thinking and playing football, right? Those are the kinds of guys you want. Like Jack Campbell, I don't know if there's a better guy in the world that, well, between him and Amon-Ra St. Brown that the Lions drafted. I mean, those guys are just all ball all the time. But Jack Campbell, I personally feel he is the absolute best pick that the Lions have made yet, because of the fact that he is so ball all the time. And those are the guys that the Lions want. So who are those players this year? Well, we're going to find out in a few weeks. Eric, what kind of questions do you have this morning, or things that you'd like to talk about? One being Frank Ragnow. I know we want to get into that contract conversation, but anything else that's on the tip of the spear this morning for you?
My biggest question is this. You're at 17. Lions are going to stick and pick without knowing who's available. What is your number one priority? What position do you want the Lions to take first at 17 if they stick and pick?
I think we already did that one. I think you said Monroe Freeling with trenches, right?
Yep, trenches, definitely. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken,
would it be offensive line or edge?
Offensive line, of course. Okay. Then you can go ahead and get your edge, Gabe Jacas out of Illinois.
I hear so much about that name. Why Jacas?
Because I mean, you need power. You definitely could use power. You can have some speed, but you need power. You need some strength there. And I've seen some film on the kid. The kid can work, and he can, get real physical, fast, not fast, but more physical, more violent, more vicious out there as an edge. And he's an every down type of guy. He's not going to back down. That's the thing that you got to use when you're a football player, is to have a never back down attitude. And to your point about, Jack Campbell, is that he was drafted around the same time, Jahmyr Gibbs. And for him to fall at that time, that was just crazy good, So you picked up an all-pro that could definitely go out there and clean up the dirty work.
So you brought up Jacas, or Jacas, whatever.
Jacas.
This is a player that he's kind of hit the scene. And again, I think that if you go and look at the mock drafts, this is why this guy's name has come up. Because when the Lions are selecting, his name is right there. And for whatever reason, I have a feeling a lot of people didn't start thinking about him because of they watched film, because they went and looked at every edge, player, and they saw, well, this is a really good football player. I think a lot of it has to do with the PFF mock boards or the PFSN mock boards and where these players end up landing. However, I did just recently watch some film on him, and I do think that he has some really great qualities in his game. He was a 2022 freshman All-American. He was the team's rookie of the year at Illinois. Illinois has produced some pretty good football players. He played in all 13 games, 8 starts as a rookie, had 5 TFLs. That's the number that I want you to keep thinking about, is TFLs. 4 sacks. 2023, played in all 12 games, 10 starts, 31 tackles, 4 sacks, a PBU, and a forced fumble. 2024, he was third team All Big Ten Conference, led the team with 13 TFLs, 8 sacks, started all 13 games, 74 tackles, 3 forced fumbles. And then in 2025, second team All Big Ten, led the team with 13.5 TFLs, ranked 7th in the FBS with 11 sacks, and started all 12 games, 43 tackles, a PBU, and 3 more forced fumbles. This guy gets his hands on the ball. This guy gets his ass into the backfield, and he disrupts. For a guy that I have not had on my radar, well, guess who just made my top 50? Gabe Jacas. I really like this kid. Where he lands right now, I'm not I'm not so sure, but I think if the Lions were to end up with him wherever they pick him, this is a footballer, man. The forced fumbles, I mean, if I were to count them all up, that's 3, that's 6, that's 7. He had 7 in 3 years. TFLs, he had 26, let's see, 31. So around 32 at least in 4 seasons, at least, because in 2023 it's not reported. And then as far as sacks go, he got better and better. He went from 4 to 4, then jumped up to 8, and then jumped up to 11. So you're looking at 27 sacks in 4 seasons. Production is there. Well, what about his size? And why the hell didn't he test at the combine? So 6'4", perfect size for me. I love that 6'3.5" to 6'5.5" if you're off on the strong side linebacker. He's 260 pounds, 10-inch hands, 33-inch arms. His arms are a little light, right? Just barely, but I can work with 33 when all of the other things start to line up. This is a player that is strong, like you said, strength 30 reps in the bench press. That's pushing some weight. Lance Zierlein said that he's a well-built, he's well-built, tremendous play strength, and the ability to play as a hand-down end or stand-up edge, which the Lions, I believe, are going to use more of this year. He's more rugged than explosive, to your point, and twitchy. So less twitch, less explosiveness, more rugged. He's a dirty guy, right? He can hold the ground against power, but also needs to do a better job of playing with discipline to set and contain his edge. Now, that's going to be very important in this defense. His pass rush plan lacks creativity, but features a good deal of force and leg drive to bully his way into the pocket once he opens the tackle's edge. So I can just envision in some of the tape where he'll go in with a quick pop, and then he'll try to get the tackle up on their heels, and then he drives and he bulls his way through. His bull rush is phenomenal, but he's going to need more than that. He's going to need to increase that pass rush bag of tricks by at least 5 or 6 more moves, and it may take a couple of seasons. So would you expect him to come out of the box and just be a guy that terrorizes in his rookie year? Probably not. But can he be a rotational guy that is learning his way, and maybe by year 2 or 3 he finally has his breakthrough? Probably. I would see that's probably more the trajectory for him. I don't see him doing it in year 1. I see him being a very good rotational piece that'll work his way up. He's got a lot of mean streak to him. Like when he has a couple of good reps in a row, you can see that he's excited. He gets more energy, and then it seems like for the next 5 or 6 downs, however long they're in, or even the next rep, the next offense or the next defensive series, he carries that mean streak with him. And so I like to see that energy from a player. As far as strengths, he was a team captain. Well, that's check mark number 1 for the Lions. Team captain is big for them. Wealth of experience, 4 years at Illinois. He's very rugged. He's got power to treat tight ends who line up against him. They call him shabbily. I don't know if I would use that word, shabbily.
Shabbily?
Yeah.
Shabbily.
So strong core, good base, always looking to get the ball or get to the ball, refuses to ride the block, uses bend and rip moves to hug the rush arc against redirects, violent chop knocks, and tackles outside punch hand away. Violent chop knocks the tackles outside punch hand away. Violent chop knocks the tackles outside punch hand away. Yeah, I said it 3 times there and said it wrong every time. Works back underneath at the pocket depth to vacuum pocket climbers. Some weaknesses, though. No twitch. He's not a twitchy guy. So his first step's a little lackluster. Needs to play with better discipline. Average short area quickness. Rush path tends to be monotonous and predictable. Not much speed variance or change of angles, and needs to set up inside counters on the next level. So when I see a guy like this, he's smart. He has good vision. He has good intent. He's just lacking in some technique. You can't teach quickness. You can't teach burst. But what you can teach is technique. And I think if you refine his skills, Gabe Jackas could be a very good rotational depth piece for the Lions or any team that gets him. But I see him projected as a 4-3 defensive end for sure. So good player. Good player. And any idea where you think he's going to end up? in the draft as far as where you think you're going to be able to pick him?
I mean, honestly, we have 9 picks, right? Correct, if I'm not mistaken. We
For
have 9
now,
picks we can work with.
for now we do, yeah.
So I mean, I would like to see him at 50, but I just want to see what we can do from 50 and even from that point on. I mean, I understand 17. 17 is going to be a no-brainer pick because you want offensive tackle, but from there, from like 50 to then on, that's what you can worry about too, because there's some diamond in the rough players. Don't get it wrong. It's some guys you can work with, just like Gabe. And I definitely agree with what you're saying. It's the twitch, it's the technique that you got to teach as well. But you can't just teach quickness. You can't teach, everything else, but you can definitely fix his, technique and twitch. That's the main things you could definitely fix if you draft him.
Yeah, so twitch, I mean, that's really just, you have to get the cadence and you have to know how the quarterback, cadence is working to your benefit. Eric, have you taken a look at Jack? I think you've brought up Jackus a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, I did a workup on him, and now it's no longer on my sheet. But I had, because I like to monitor social media and see what people are posting, and I look at all these mock drafts that people put in all the Detroit Lions forums and on the NFL forums, and it doesn't matter if it's Detroit Lions fans picking or not. Social media by far, I would say that is the most popular pick for the Detroit Lions at 50 is Jackus in a first round, whether it's Monroe Freeling or Caden Proctor, Blake Miller, who's the other one? Spencer Fano, any of those guys to the Lions at 17. And then, it's almost always a second round edge, and Jackus is probably the consensus number 1 that I see on social media. So that's why I decided to look into him a little bit, and I liked what I saw, and I saw that he was not the twitchy super bend, get around the edge super fast, get all the sacks guy. This guy was an edge setter and a run stuffer, so fit more of what I envision the Lions are looking for. Not necessarily what I'm looking for, but what maybe the Lions might be looking for.
I think I evaluate him a little different. I think he has some upside in the run game, but I saw the exact opposite. I thought that his run game, his run stuffing ability was not that great. I thought he had more pass rush upside than anything, but two different sets of eyes see different things. According to PFF, let me get off Malachi Lawrence.
That's another one.
Yeah, so we're gonna walk through this for a minute here in the second round and talk about edge for a moment. So Gabe Jackus, he went from, again, all 4 years at Illinois. That speaks volumes to the type of person he is. He's only 21 years old. He'll be 22 when the season starts. He's still fairly young. But according to PFF, he had a pass rush grade of 88 his last year. His true pass set pass rush grade was this 86.3. Run stop rate was a 7%, which is probably in that 60th percentile, so pretty low. Pass rush win rate was 14.9%. That's probably in the 85th percentile. Definitely lines up outside the tackle more than he does over the tackle. So he's going to be in that 7-6-6, wide 9. I mean, that's kind of where he's lining up the majority of the time. Doesn't mean that he can't slide in, but he's definitely an outside the tackle kind of guy. Overall, I thought his grades were great. And then as far as sacks go, like I said, I mean, he's probably one of the more productive edge in this class from a sack perspective, TFL perspective, forced fumbles. Now he didn't have like a ton of pressures that I see, but maybe that's in a different, where's his premium stats? Right now, he's projected to go to Kansas City, the Bengals, or the Saints?
Mm.
Where is his? I'm gonna have to look him up a different way. It's not showing me his pressures there. But anyway, I think that it's a good pick. I think he's a good player. But now I want to talk about Malachi Lawrence. So Gabe Jackas is somewhere around 50, 51, 52. And this is just overall big board, right? Malachi Lawrence is in that same boat, somewhere in the low 50s or high 40s. Malachi Lawrence, to me, I felt was a better overall player than Jackas is. And if you got a shot at either one of those two at 50, I think you're good. Overall, I think all three of us are in agreement that you don't need an edge in the first round. Are we good?
Agreed.
Are we good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Okay. So if that's the case, deep edge class, the guys that we're looking for are strong side, bigger ends, guys that can hold an edge, create an edge, and then rush the passer, but stop the run, right? Need to stop the run. Malachi Lawrence's run stuffing ability was not great either. It was even worse than Jackas. So Jackas has a little bit better, run stuffing ability. Could be technique, could be what he was asked to do, and so we don't know those things, right? Each defense is a little bit different, and so whatever the defensive, coordinators asking these guys to do, or their defensive line coach, or it could be that we're seeing something on field that is totally different than what they're learning. The Lions are learning during interview, the chalk talk, right? Why were you asked to do this? Or why was your run stuffing, ability down? Why didn't you, get after the run? Clearly, if he's missing tackles, right, if he's not setting an edge and, the run game's going around him or through him, well, that's a problem. But if you're just not involved in the run game as much, if you're not in on, the first or second down or more run downs, then I think that kind of tells you who the player is. And that would tell you that they're more of a pass rush player, pass rush style of a player, and that their run game has a long way to go. Malachi Lawrence, his run defense grade, 66.2, 91.6 true pass set rush grade, 19.2% pass rush win rate. That is up in the 90th percentile or better. Now, he didn't have as much production as Jackas did. He had, looks like 8 sacks in 23, 5 in 24, 7 in 2025. Batted passes, he had a couple. Let me look him up on the NFL side. But while I'm doing that, what do you think about Malachi Lawrence? Have you had an opportunity to take a look into him at all?
We didn't get that many UFC games, up here in Michigan. We didn't, but I haven't had a chance to look at him. But I will get a chance to look at his tape and see what we're definitely looking at and what kind of production he has, because it's never too late to watch up on some film and see what he can bring to the table. But Malachi Lawrence is a name that you can never go wrong with as well, from a name perspective in the draft, but talent perspective, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen what he can do just yet. But once I see it, then I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I think that would be a no-brainer pick as well at 50.
Yeah, you just got to watch the film. You got to compare these guys. But Malachi Lawrence, hold on here.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I watch some Gabe because we do have Big Ten Network. Trust me, I see it. But Malachi, I just didn't get as much time to see what he can do. But it's never too late. Like I said, it's never too late to keep an eye on these guys.
My God, these ads are just like crazy. You go to these sites and it's just like 50 freaking ads.
Oh, I know.
Like why would you even build a site that does that? Like, it's pointless. You can't even enjoy the site. It makes me just click right out immediately.
Hey, look, you ain't the only one that get ads.
Well, I don't have my ad blocker on right now because certain sites won't let you have it. And I'm sick of paying for subscriptions. I've got like $300 worth of subscriptions just for stuff, and I don't feel like adding another $15 to the pot, to the kitty, I guess. But I guess I can. So the thing about Malachi, I mean, the biggest negatives on him is the run defense, and they say that the run defense is a real concern. And if that's truly how the Lions would see it, I don't think Malachi Lawrence has a shot to be a Lion then. If the run defense is as big as a concern as some of the scouts and evaluators have said, then that is a prerequisite, I would say, to be a Lion. It's run game first. Just listen to what Kelvin Shepard says all the time. You have to be able to defend the run to rush the pass. And if you can't do it, it's not going to happen in Detroit for you. He struggles to anchor when offensive linemen get into his chest on double teams. Well, I mean, I would say just about any player is going to have trouble with a double team. His missed tackle rate is way too high. He needs to be more reliable as a finisher. He's got a light frame. And in his assignment discipline there's some big red flags with Malachi, but I want to say it was the Panini Bowl or it was the East West Shrine Bowl, one of the two. He popped. Like, he had a great game, and that's kind of where he showed up, and that was his opportunity to kind of say, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. I'm here, and that's where a lot of people started to take note of Malachi Lawrence, and so now you have to match what he did in that game against the best athletes of the college class that attended and match it up to his film. And that's where a lot of deficiencies, I guess, are more seen. That maybe his bowl game was an outlier, and maybe his natural game was just not, it just doesn't match up. So scouting summary, according to NFL Draft Buzz, says that his NFL value starts and ends with his ability to rush the passer. And to me, if that's the one-liner on Malachi Lawrence that we should pay attention to, and then the second and third one-liner is the missed tackle rate is too high, and it needs to be more reliable as a finisher, and his run defense is a real concern, and he gets washed out against gap, power schemes, then I would say he's probably has less than a 40% chance of the Lions even being interested. But if there's something that they can, if they can, work with, then that value obviously goes back up. But at pick 50, man, you need a player that can play at pick 50 in this draft. Like, you can't miss on pick 50 this year. And whether 50 is 39 or 50 is 55 or 50 is 45 for the Lions this year, I don't care where they're picking in the second round. I mean, I do, but whatever that second round pick is, it has to play this year. Has to. We need another player. So, all right. So we've talked Malachi a little bit. We've talked Gabe Jackas. Eric, is there anybody else that you're seeing around pick 50 that would interest you from an edge standpoint? And is there anything in the chat? Does anybody have a name in the chat? I know there's one other name that I have in the back of my mind. We'll see if Eric says it or not.
Yeah, probably Zion Young.
Okay, that was not the name I was thinking. So there's another good one.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Zion Young too.
Yeah,
definitely like that too.
If you're looking at the top 10 overall, Zion Young comes in number 6. So would number 6 still be available at that position? 5, 6, 7. You're looking at R. Mason Thomas, Zion Young, and Joshua Josephs.
Well, who's? I'm sorry. Whose board is that?
That's the Draft Buzz board. Listing all the defensive guys.
I got you.
I was thinking you were going with a type of mock draft from like Mel Kiper. I was thinking that.
No. So, look, as much as I appreciate all those guys, I mean, that's why I told everybody to save those things, because they are so way off. It's not even funny. Like way off.
Way off.
And
too off.
And then I don't know if it's because they're being. I'm not even going to say it. Let's just say this. I don't have bias when I look at guys and I evaluate. Not that I'm right or better than anyone else, because I don't believe that. I just don't have bias, and I think that bias does exist. And whether it's you're being asked to say something about somebody, you're being paid to say something about somebody. I'm not being paid and I'm not being asked. So I'm going to give you the real deal, Holyfield, if you will, about how I feel about somebody. And I love what Mel Kiper does. I mean, he's been one of the best for a long time. But I think that there's so many inconsistencies out there that maybe there's some other options to look at, I guess is what I would say. So let me bring in Zion Young for a moment.
Yeah. So speaking of that kind of stuff, getting to go to the combine and talk to a lot of these guys this year, I have a lot more confidence when it gets to the later rounds, like all these 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounders that we have. I think I'm going to have more confidence in being able to try to pick some of these later round players because of something Dan Campbell said. No turds.
I don't remember when he said that, but it kept flying up in some of my I kept putting it in some of my evaluations, the no turds policy, and I don't remember where it came from.
Well, because when you go to talk to these guys, you can tell if they're a turd or not. You can tell if they're a Dan Campbell kind of guy. You can tell if they're going to fit. You can tell if they're confident. You can tell if they're not confident. And if they're not confident off the field, most likely they're I don't know. That just speaks volumes to me about what they're going to be able to do on the field. Now, I was wrong with a couple of them guys, like that Ephesians Prize Socks. That kid, he like flips a switch when he puts the pads on, and he's totally different than he is as a person. Very, very mild mannered, laid back. And I actually mocked him a couple times late to the Lions in a couple of my drafts now.
Hey, if I may, have you checked out Ike Larson out of Utah State?
What position?
DB.
I had to have. If he was at the combine,
Because he was brought in for a 30-day visit.
Okay.
Yeah.
A top 30 visit?
Yep, top 30 visit. And same thing with Banks. Banks from Florida, University of Florida, came in, defensive tackle, came in for a pro day visit. Yep, Caleb Banks.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think those guys could be looked at as well, too. I mean, I don't know where they might fall, but I think them coming in with that pro day visit, I think they're going to ace it and probably get looked at by Brad Holmes. I think there'll be options as well.
Yeah, and that's a position we haven't talked about today is defensive tackle.
Well, we'll get there. So the thing with, or maybe we'll get there. The thing with Zion Young that I wanted to try to uncover is like where is he ranked by everybody? What are his, what are the things that make him a possibility for the Lions? And I'm having trouble right now even finding him on this new board.
Well, to give you a little bit, he's 6'6", 262 pounds. He's got 9.5-inch hands. His arms are 33 inches. He ran a 4.75 in the 40. His 10-yard split was 1.72. His vertical was 31 inches, and his broad jump was 117. His wingspan is 80 6/8. Let's see.
I'm sorry. What was his wingspan?
80 6/8.
And what is his height?
His height was 6'6". So you can do his ape there.
It's 1.03.
Yeah.
That's pretty short. I mean, it's requisite. Did he say he had to go, or is he doing something?
I don't know.
All right. So I'm gonna try to.
I'm putting my phone on charge.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Let me throw this up on the screen. I was having trouble finding him on SIS. And the reason why is because he is the 11th ranked edge defender in this class. And that is pretty low. 45th overall, 11th in the position. So those two numbers don't really jive for me. Obviously, I'm going to have to ask when I have these guys on next week. To explain that.
You should really love Zion Young.
Well, maybe. I've looked at him.
You want to know why?
I've looked at him in other areas. I wanted to see him on this site.
Oh, well, he was grinding through the trenches at Michigan State.
Yeah, that
as
stuff
a
doesn't
consensus 3-star recruit out of Westlake High School in Georgia.
Yeah, you got to remember though. I don't look. Saturdays and Sundays don't blend for me.
I know. I'm just teasing, man.
I got
He
you.
came from Michigan State, so you gotta love him.
Nah, dude, I haven't even watched Michigan State football in like 2 or 3 years. I'm so disgusted with that organization.
God, yeah, everything went wrong after that coach.
Yeah, I'm so disgusted.
Yeah.
With how they've been running stuff down there. They'll get it back, but man, they not impressed. Not impressed.
So these guys say that he's built like a prototype modern edge rusher with a rare length at 6'6" and arms that create problems before blockers can even get their hands inside on him.
All right, so his arm length is what again? I got him pulled up here. So,
Yep.
all right, so we've got 33-inch arms. I mean, he's a little short in the arm length. 6'6", 262, 9.5-inch hands. I'm not going to be able to put this on the screen for some reason. His pass rush grade was a 6, and so you got to remember this is out of 9, or maybe it's out of 10. And a lot of players don't get 7s, 8s, and 9s. It's very rare, but his pass rush is a 6. His first step explosion is a 5. So his initial twitch, his initial get off is not great, right?
It's not snappy.
The thing about his pass rush bag of tricks though is it's undeveloped. It's coming in as a 5. His bend is a little weak. That's a 5. His hand usage is a 5. His tackling is a 5. His stuff value is a 5. His flat coverage is a 4. His play strength, his range, his motor, his football intelligence, his discipline, and his toughness are all a 6. Total points affected per game would be about 4.2. Again, we have to dig into more of these stats on this new site because it is so much different than anybody else. But the ranking, he'd be the 4th best defensive end in this class of contributing points, for or against his team. And in this case, he's reducing the overall points by 4.2 points per game. So he ranks at 99. He's number 1 overall. Total rating in the pass rush, he's a 99. Total points rating in the run defense, he's a 99. And his TFLs per game, he ranks 2nd with 1.6. That's the number that I love the most, man. TFLs versus sacks all day long. I want more TFLs. His true pressure rate, a little bit low. He ranks 20th. His pressure percentage is about 7.9%, which ranks 6th overall. And his pressure share means the share of the pressures in game is 23%, which ranks 11th overall. So overall, he's the 11th best defensive end in this class, according to SIS. Now he does come out of a 4-man, even front scheme, which that helps.
Yeah. Well, I noticed on there on SIS that under his strengths it says that one of his strengths is setting the edge, and then on Draft Buzz it says that his biggest strength is the run game. So doesn't that sound like a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions?
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Go back to his stats, and you look at his run game, his tackling, or not his stats, his ranking here, his positional factors. And let me get back to it. Where is it? Tackling is a 5, not good.
Yep.
Stuff value is a 5, that's not great. So here's what I'll say about evaluations and scouts before I go any further. What I see is going to be different than what you see. And what Joe Blow sees is going to be different than what somebody else sees. And sometimes people aren't even seeing. They're not even looking. If they're watching game film and they're trying to grade somebody, PFF, then things are probably not going to line up. But if you're actually watching film and looking at everything holistically, then you probably have a better opportunity to give a really good evaluation. A lot of times, I think that people just copy paste and they're not putting the work in. So when you see someone that says that their strength is a run game, but then someone else has a totally different view, why is that? Because if an evaluator is doing the same thing as the other evaluator, then they should line up pretty close as far as strengths and weaknesses. So maybe they're looking at different game tape. And that's another thing. Like, I don't know if this makes sense. Are you still there? Is he still in? I don't know what he's doing. Still there. Okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, I think from my perspective, I would say it makes more sense that these NFL evaluators, or all these evaluators out there, they should be given the same film. Like, how else can you evaluate someone and get a true evaluation from person to person, from scout to analyst, unless you're looking and grading the same film. So I think that you should have this block of 10 games and this block of, 100 cut-ups, or 200 cut-ups, whatever it is, looking at every little thing, and then you give your grade and see what everyone says and how different that they line up, because I think you're going to have some serious differences of opinion. And that's what it is an opinion. And the only opinion that matters is Kelvin Shepard, Brad Holmes, and Dan Campbell when it comes to a defensive player.
Oh, heck yeah.
Those are the only people that matter. So it's whatever they see, or your defensive line coach too, right? Those are the only 4 people or 5 people on this planet that even matter. But anyway, I'm getting too far off left here.
Yeah.
So Zion Young, Malachi Lawrence, Gabe Jackas, all guys expected to be in that mid-second round area. From a statistical analysis and from an overview perspective on all 3 of these guys, I would say that Zion Young probably holds the edge right now over the other 2. But there's one other guy. There's one other guy that I really like.
Who's your guy?
Danny Dennis Sutton.
Yeah.
Have you seen him yet, Anthony?
I to my knowledge, I have seen some guys that we've already named, but I never heard a name like that. I have not.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look him up today. Even watch some of his highlights on YouTube, so at least you know who he is. But overall arm length, 33.5 inch, so he checks that box. Hand size, 10 1/8, he checks that box. His 40 is 4.63. To put that into perspective, Aiden run a 4.76. His vertical jump, insanity, 39.5 inches. His broad jump, 10'11". Just looking at those numbers and looking at the other guy's numbers, and I'm thinking, hold on here. If anyone would have quick twitch, first step explosion, short area, quickness, it's this guy. Why? The vertical and the broad jump, if people don't know this, I'll tell you what I feel and what I've heard. The broad jump is what is going to evaluate that explosion. That broad jump is what's going to evaluate that first step quickness. When you think about it, what are you doing in a broad? You're standing and you're exploding, right? So you want to explode out, and that is where that explosion comes from off the line. That vert that you're going up with, that vertical is telling you how twitchy, your muscles and ligaments and all that are all at once to explode up, which can get you lateral, quicker, right? So those 2 numbers, the higher, the better. Now, sometimes it doesn't always fit. Like, you might have really high numbers and a guy just may not be as explosive. Why is that? Well, I'm going to say one thing that I think is very important that a lot of people don't probably take into consideration: peripheral vision. If your peripheral vision is poor and you can't see the ball and you got to turn your head to see the ball, well, now your head's turned, you're going to have just that brief nanoseconds to turn your head back around to explode, because you're definitely not going to launch with your head turned, or you shouldn't. Like, that's just the way you're going to get injured. So if your peripheral vision is bad and your timing is bad, for instance, F1 drivers, when they train, they go into these weird, VR boxes, right? And they got all these lights that flash, and they got to like hit a button or do something, right, when these lights flash. And that's because they want to see how fast you are from the time you see that light to the time you react to it. So these are the types of things I would be putting these players into. Like, if I had an opportunity to do it, I'd put these players in those situations to see how quick they react to these lights. That'll tell me how quick they can react to that ball being snapped, right? So if your head's turned and your peripheral vision is bad, sometimes the explosion numbers in the vert and the broad may tell you that it should be good, but if they can't see it and they can't react to it, then it's going to be slower. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's got to be perfect timing. I mean, you're not always going to be perfect, but you got to have perfect timing on hand, on speed, like on the spot.
Hold on here.
But I mean, I like the name. I like it. I'm sold on it. I definitely got to check them out. I'm sold on it because a lot of guys,
you don't get to hear those type of names. You know what I'm saying? You can hear all the nice names that's on like the TV and all that.
Mhm.
You hear me, Will? Like you can hear that, but when you hear a name that's not like also often spoken, that's when you want to have more knowledge of that player and who they are. Because like every single stat line you just broke down for me right there had me like literally sold on to like Snap Point. Like I definitely want to check him out.
Yeah,
I mean, he could be one of my favorite players.
Yeah, but it gets worse though, because according to SIS, his positional factors are not as good as you would like to see, against the rest of the class. Like his pass rush bag is a little light. This is the first 4 that I've seen on one of these edge defenders this early. But so I'm going to go back to what I was just saying about his explosion, right? I'm looking at his vertical and I'm looking at his broad jump and I'm saying, man, he's got to explode off the ball, right? Well, according to SIS, his first step explosion is poor. It's a 4. Like you shouldn't have 4s as a second rounder, right? And so that tells me something else is going on. Like, does he need his eyes looked at? Is his peripheral vision off? Is it an alignment thing? Because it's hard to teach somebody instinct, right? You can't. You have to have the instinct. You have to know when that ball's being snapped. You have to understand the cadence of the quarterback. And you have to pay attention to the movement of the offensive line, but most importantly, the ball, right? His bend is a 4, which tells me he's not going to bend great around the edge, which means he's not going to be able to flatten his trajectory and get after the quarterback as quickly as some of the other players in this class around this time. His hand usage, his play strength, his motor, his football intelligence, his toughness, those are all a 6, so that's very comparative to Malachi Lawrence, Gabe Jackas, and Zion Young. His range, his flat coverage, his stuff value, his discipline, and his tackling are all a 5. And his pass rush bag is also a 5. So he has some things to work on. He's ranked very poorly in total points per game, in total points rating, total points pass rush, total points rating and run defense. It's all very poor. But when I watch him on film, I don't see this. And that's that's the hardest thing for me when you look at everybody else's evaluations is my vision was totally different on this player. And so when you read these things, it kind of throws you off a little bit. So we've mentioned 4 or 5 guys here at pick 50. Evaluations be damned. Do the Lions need to take an edge at 50 if they don't take one in the first round? And if the Lions don't have another pick from 50 to 118, would you say, I'll start with you, Anthony, the edge is more important at pick 50 than any other position?
Yes. Yes. At 50, yes. But it could flip. It could definitely flip. I mean, you may never know. You could definitely go edge at 17. You can go edge at 50. You can go anywhere with edge. I mean, at this point, it's just all about making sure you're hitting the right pick and you're getting the right player.
There's no blue chips at 50, right?
Right. It's no blue chips.
If there's no blue chips, Eric, does the pick really matter? We're looking for guys that can start, right? We're looking for guys that can play and help this team win in 2026.
Like right now, for sure.
So I'll ask you, Eric, is that more important to find a player that can start and help you win, or a position? What is more important to you?
The player.
That can start and help you win?
Position be damned, because what if you get to 50 and Caleb Banks slips to you at 50? What do you do? You're going to take Caleb Banks. You're not going to take Zion Young or another edge rusher. You're just not going to do it because the value is there and the player is there. So to me, it's wide open at number 50. You are wide open, and I would almost. I can almost guarantee we are not going to be picking at pick number 50.
Probably.
We might trade it.
We're either going to move up or move back from 50.
All right. So what I'm hearing here is once you get out of the first round and you really get through the 30s, there's really no blue chippers. It's very rare to, what happened in 2023, like I've said for many, many, many times, the Lions grabbing 4 first round picks
Yeah, that was nuts.
That just doesn't happen. Guys just don't slide in. Those are Brad Holmes' first round grades. And the fact that all those players slid like that and they ended up being extremely good football players, you cannot evaluate Brad's other drafts based on 2023. You better just throw 2023 in the trash and look at all the other drafts, because what I see drafts in 24 and 25 that are very similar to a lot of other teams out there, that those drafts were just not great drafts. You're getting guys that are coming out of the COVID years that had, 1 to 2 years of additional eligibility. You had older players. This is probably the last time, well, maybe it won't be, but this is probably the last draft that you're getting some of that hangover. And from here on out, you're going to have older players entering the draft because of NIL. So a lot of this stuff is changing. And I don't think a lot of fans respect that, understand that, or have taken the time to learn that every draft is different, and no two drafts are the same, right? Just to say it two different ways. And you can't evaluate two drafts the same way and expect Brad to be able to go get high profile players in the third round or even late in the second round. Like, it just doesn't happen. For a lot of other teams, it doesn't happen either. The Lions aren't the only one. So here's the big board for SIS. David Bailey as edge, Arvell Reese as edge, Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor, TJ Parker, Keldrick Falk, Cassius Howell, Romello Height, R. Mason Thomas, Gabe Jackas, Zion Young, and then Joshua Josephs, who I have spent zero time evaluating. I'm going to today. Derek Moore, I will look at him again today. Caden Curry, Karrion Crawford, Denny Dennis Sutton. He's number 16 on the list. Malachi Lawrence, number 17 on the list. Jyshawn Barham, number 18 on the list. And then Wesley Williams, Vincent Anthony, Mason Rieger, Patrick Payton. And I'll tell you what, if Nadeem Tucker had longer arms, he would be my guy. And if he was a little bit taller, he would be my guy. I'm trying to find where... Oh, yeah, Tyreek Sapp is way down the list at 32. Rank 245, so he's almost a UDFA at this point. So there's your list. So when you're looking at pick 50 and you align that with the ranking, the Lions would be in line to get Joshua Josephs, Derek Moore, Caden Curry, Karrion Crawford, or Denny Dennis Sutton, or Malachi Lawrence. Those would be the guys. And even Malachi Lawrence could be a third or a fourth round pick at this point, according to this list. So we'll see how this list shakes out. I'm going to clip all this and save it to see what happens in the draft. So maybe we can start to identify which evaluators, are the best. All right.
Want to know my sleeper?
Who's your sleeper?
My sleeper is George Gums.
George Gums. I do like Gums. I don't even see him on this list.
He's edge number 37, rank 308. And the kid's 6'4" and 3/8, 245 pounds. Probably needs to put on a few pounds to be an edge in Detroit. But man, he impressed me at the combine. Yeah,
he did for me too. So his vertical is 41 inches. That's insane. So I got a question: is he all gums when he smiles?
I don't know, man. But that like I was saying earlier, this year, instead of trying to focus on like who we're going to take at the very top, I've been trying to navigate who we're going to take in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. And George Gums might be one of these little, he might be this year's Ahmed Hassanin for us.
Oh, here you go. There you go.
I like it. I like it.
All right. So for the last half hour or so, I know we got a couple of things that we wanted to talk about. Anthony, what do you want to finish with, man? What is I guess what's on the horizon for you? I'd like to have you back on it at another point. If you're ever available again, we'll do we'll do a mock draft or something with you, and some other things. But during the draft, I do like marathon days. So I'm always looking for people to jump in, and maybe we can do a community draft before we get to the draft. So I'd love to have you on for that if you have time. But what's your overall thoughts of the Lions? I guess is what I'd like to finish with you is what do you view? Let me start all that over again. I can't talk today. What are your
It's okay,
thoughts on
man.
Brad Holmes? Like, how do you feel he's done since he's been in Detroit? There's been a lot of conversation that, Brad Holmes has done a terrible job. He has not, paid enough attention to the edge position, and his drafts in the last couple of years have not been good. The fire Brad Holmes chance and yada yada yada. Like, so how do you feel Brad Holmes, or how do you feel about Brad Holmes? How do you feel he's done overall as a GM in Detroit since 2021? What's your take on the guy?
I think he's done a solid job. When you draft solid and you search for talent pretty well in free agency like he's done, it's always going to work out pretty well for the head coach, and not only just for the head coach, but for the locker room as well. And, it's all about having good guys with good chemistry and great, style of play out there in the field, defensively or offensively. But yeah, I like what he's done so far. I'm not going to sit here and act like he ain't done a good job. Other than not trying to go out there and get an edge and overpay, he always settles for less. He's going to go cheap. It's nothing wrong with that. You're not just going to overpay a lot of guys and then try to figure out later how could you re-sign them, because you can actually mess up some money with the salary cap. But like I said, overall, he's done a great job. I'm impressed, and I can't wait to see what he can do next in this year's draft. But yeah, overall, let's just give it a B. I'd rather give it a B. B plus. You did a good job.
I agree, man, and I'm glad you kind of brought up the cap and the chemistry and all that stuff too, because we heard from Rod Wood the other day, and I was going to go through that yesterday, but we didn't, and I'm not going to go through it today. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. But Rod Wood was very pointed in his conversation that the Lions are paying attention to the salary cap for multiple years. It's not just 1 year, and a lot of teams are operating differently right now, and they've really paid attention to the salary cap since the COVID years, where they had to do a lot of adjusting. And right now, let's just be honest for a moment. I hate to bring in geopolitical environment into football, because I think that's the last thing that we want, is for politics or the geopolitical issues that we have going on around this world infecting the game that we love. But we're in a war right now, and costs of everything are going up daily. Gas is over $4 a gallon. And so teams, billion-dollar industries, they look at that stuff. They care about that stuff, because they have, for the Ford family, they're heavily invested into what? Auto. They need oil. They need all that stuff, right? So for them, they have to look at this reasonably and say, wait a second here. We can't overextend ourselves more than what the salary cap allows. We can't overextend ourselves with, the kitty that we have to have parked for all this guaranteed money. We need to operate within the constraints of what the league allows and what we know that we can do. You have to take all that stuff into consideration. And I say that because with the COVID situation, we went into a very deep depression as a country financially, and we're on that horizon again. And I think that, they had to do a lot of adjusting. We know that they had to do a lot of adjusting with the salary cap. They didn't raise prices at all for season tickets, and they lost a ton of money with season tickets and not having fans at the games. So they're probably considering the fact that could be on the horizon again if things don't get fixed soon. But all of that stuff is relative, unfortunately, and I think that they're doing a wonderful job too. I think that the Lions have done an excellent job. And you brought up free agency. How do you feel free agency went this year for the Lions? Like, if you were to give it an overall grade, did they address the needs? Did they bring in players that can play? And I guess, what are your overall thoughts? We didn't even get into that, but you brought up DJ Wanham a couple of times. They brought in Isaiah Pacheco. They just signed Chuck Clark. They brought in Damone Clark. I think that they filled some really big holes and have given Brad an opportunity to go in and do whatever he wants in the draft. So how was free agency for you?
I think free agency was more of a silent but not loud type of free agency, if you understand what I'm saying. Like,
Silent
you're not going to be so Yeah. Like you're not just gonna have that loud moment where, oh, we just got such and such. No, we're just gonna play things smooth, be silent about it, and then go out and get guys that fit who we are, fit what our culture is all about, and what the identity that we bring to a Spark here in Detroit. And the most favorite one that I like out of all of them is Isaiah Pacheco, because I think that duo of him and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a terrific one. And his presser, if you watched, was great. That was fun to watch, and I liked that. So I definitely like what he can do and what he can bring to the table. 2-time Super Bowl champ, 7th-round pick, played with Patrick Mahomes, incredible player. I like what he can do. I'm sure he can just be a guy that can balance the carries and get 50-50s and make sure we can help the team win, and not only just help the team win, but establish the run a little bit bigger and better by getting either 3 yards or 4 yards, and he could be useful for third downs too.
Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure having you on today. Thank you for taking some time with us.
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, I'm always available. I would love to come on the show. You know what it is with me. All you got to do is reach out and get back to me. So to those that want to subscribe, the channel, Chicken Nugget King 313 Sports Talk. And hit me up on Twitter, CNK 313 Sports. I always follow back and show love too. So it's one pride for life.
There you go, man. Appreciate you. Have a good day, man. I'll be in touch. We'll definitely set something up.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Have
brother.
a great day, guys.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care. We'll be right back. We're gonna get into a few more things. And we'll see how much longer Eric has, but be right back here in just a couple moments. Man, it is almost draft time, Eric. Can you believe it?
Yeah, we're getting there.
It is almost here.
You were talking with Chicken Nugget about grades, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's one grade that I hope that Brad Holmes gets once again. I hope he gets a D- again this year in the draft.
Yeah.
Dude, I hope it's just.
Wasn't that 23?
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
And they gave him a D-.
Yeah, please do it. Give us an E. Give me
for
an
the
F.
most A+ freaking draft there's ever been.
It's hilarious, right? You want to evaluate a guy today. You want to evaluate a draft today, and you haven't even seen the players play.
Well, and this is what the third or the fourth year of that draft class?
This will be the fourth season.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be the fourth season. So I wanted to bring in this this big board.
Okay.
I know I got to fix my picture. I forgot to fix it, but let's bring it in.
So while Chicken Nugget was talking, he was saying some stuff about a couple of guys that have had top 30 visits.
Yeah.
And we've had 2 of them so far. And I didn't recognize either name.
We've had more than that, haven't we?
It says wide receiver DeMarcus Lacey, Oda Marshall, and defensive lineman Tyree West. He's an edge from Tennessee.
Wow, this is all screwed up.
And that's it. And I was looking at the other teams in the NFC North, how many people they've brought in. The Packers have brought in nobody. Chicago Bears a whole bunch.
I don't know how accurate those are, and I've got to find a way to. I got to figure out if the NFL produces this.
Well,
because a lot of times it's just reporters reporting on what they hear, and a lot of it's not even accurate.
Because I've looked at A to Z Sports, CBS Sports, and the NFL, and a couple other ones, and they're all saying just those 2 players for the Lions.
Yeah, it's interesting.
They're all reporting the exact same stuff. There's only a couple of teams, the Green Bay Packers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, that have not reported any top 30 visits so far.
All right. Well, it's about as fixed as it's going to get for right now. I still don't have the freaking chat in here. Hold on.
You doing just top overall?
Yeah, I wanted to take a look at SIS's board, and I thought it was interesting, and I also believe that they're getting a lot of things right here, but more specifically is you know what, I do got to fix the rest of that board. Hold on, I didn't realize it was all off screen. The big name right there at the bottom. That's why I wanted to take a look at this too, to kind of see where. Oh, hold on, I got to check my cameras. See what's going on outside. I think my trash can just decided to fly down the road.
Oh yeah, it's nasty out.
Oh yeah, there it goes. I'll get you later. It's windy over here. All right, so anyway, taking a look at the board. So Jeremiah Love being number 1 overall. Exactly why when I put out my number 1 or my first round of my top 50 that I had Jeremiah, at number 1. I had him the best overall athlete in this draft. And I just feel very validated that a company, a different company that I've never heard of until just the other day, has also put him at number 1. I don't know how many other people in their top 50 boards have put Jeremiah Love at number 1. I want to say I kept seeing Fernando Mendoza, and I think that they're confusing the issue. They're confusing the fans. That is he the best overall player? Because that's what this is about. It's the best overall player, not where the players are getting drafted. I know I've said that a handful of times over the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to continue to pound that home until I see something different, I guess. But David Bailey at number 2, that one's a bit of a shocker. Caleb Downs at 3 still, I wouldn't agree with that. Arvell Reese at number 4, I'd say yes. But why is Sonny Styles at 7? And so let's go back to what we started with.
Ruben Bain up at 6.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. I can't see Ruben Bain at 6.
That's the one player I see taking a tumble.
Sonny Styles at 7. So I mean, hey, if we traded Sam LaPorta and got a first round grade out of him, and we got to number 7, then that does fit with my idea that if Brad is going to do something crazy in this draft, and if Brad doesn't feel like he needs 3 players in this draft to be starters, and he only wants 1, well, then you go get Sonny Styles, right? And if Sonny Styles is that one player that could really help this team win above all else, then it makes sense. But I don't think we're ever one player away. But I guess when you look at our roster, 12 or 13 guys that are all pro bowlers, maybe we only need one or two guys. I don't think free agency is one or two guys, but in the draft, if you hit on a guy like that and he can play and stay healthy, could you imagine if we had a much better player than Alex Anzalone?
Yeah.
I mean, what would that do for our defense? Because Alex Anzalone, I mean, he was our defense for multiple years. I mean, he was the guy, right? And then we drafted Aiden, and then Aiden was helping on the other side, but Alex was on the other side until Jack was developed in the middle. I mean, it's just like, if you look at what Brad did, I mean, I'll take this piece of paper, right? And this is what I mean by plug-in. 2021, who did we bring in the first round? Penei Sewell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna put offense. Here, I'll do this. I'll do offense, and I'll do defense. I can't write where the shit. So you got Sewell. Who else did we bring in that year? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep, in the 4th round.
St. Brown. Who else did we bring in that year?
Josh Paschal and Levi O. Or was that 22? Here, I'll go.
I want just the names, like the names. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that really helped this team win. The first and second round picks is probably, well, I guess it's all picks. But here, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, so I'm getting in there.
I'll come back to this board in a minute because I just had a good idea. I want to talk about.
All right,
it.
so we had Levi, Ali McNeil, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derek Barnes, and Jamar Jefferson. So a few of these have turned out. You know, Penei Sewell, Ali McNeil, Amon-Ra, and Derek Barnes.
Okay, so out of that draft, we got Penei Sewell, Ali McNeil, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Derek Barnes.
That are bona fide starters, and then you got Levi O, who's a backup.
Yeah, I just want the starters. So, and then in 2022, you bring in Aiden. You bring in Jamison Williams. You bring in Kirby Joseph. We'll just say that he's not hurt. And that's it from that draft. 2023, you brought in Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I already did this wrong. All right, I'm going to do one big one. We'll do offense. All right, so we got Sewell. We got J-Mo. We got Gibbs. And we got St. Brown. Am I missing anyone on offense?
Yeah, so you had Gibbs, Campbell, LaPorta, Branch. That was it in that.
All right, so we got LaPorta. And then in 2024, Mahogany. We brought in JG through free agency. And then offense, we brought in Tate Ratledge.
Oh, that was 25.
And then Isaac Tesla. Isaac Tesla, the IT department. IT. That's going to be his new nickname, the IT department. Miles Frazier. Okay. Forgive my drawing.
Did you get Terry and Arnold on there for?
No, this is just offense, but forgive my drawing. Okay? Just look at how it's all set up. St. Brown, Sam LaPorta. I'm working right to left, I think, on your side. So St. Brown, Sam LaPorta, Mahogany, Gibbs, JG in the middle, Tate Rallage, Penei Sewell, Jamison Williams, and Isaac Tesla. So through all Brad's drafts, he has not really doubled down on really any position in the first round. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players. And out of 9 players, 8 of them are drafted and they're studs. You could put Miles Frazier in here, but I'm not sold yet. We have 1 free agent. So you have 8 out of 9 players drafted, and every single one of these players are great players. Every single one. And at one point, we also had David Montgomery back there. So then on the defensive side of the ball, I think sometimes people work better with visual. So let's go back to the defensive side of the ball. So in 2021, you brought in, Levi played good, but we're going to go Aleem McNeil. So AM. And DB. Derek Barnes. Aleem McNeil. Derek Barnes. Okay, 2022, you got Aiden. Kirby. That's really it. 2023, you got Jack.
Brian Branch.
You got BB. Broderick Martin. I mean, he's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, I know. So good he's out of the league.
No, he's still on the roster.
Retired early.
You got TA in the next year. Vaki special teams, that doesn't count. You got Tyleek Williams.
You got Terry on Arnold on there, right?
Yeah. Oh, this one I colored in is Tyleek because I screwed it up. And then who else on defense? Nobody.
Nope.
All right, so this is the terrible drawing. Sorry. So on defense, from left to right, you got Terry and Arnold. You got Aleem McNeil. The one that's all colored in, that's Tyleek Williams. And then you got Aiden Hutchinson. And then you got Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, and then Kirby in the bottom, and Brian Branch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another 8 guys. Another 8 guys drafted. All starters, all great players.
So 9 on offense and 8 on defense.
Well, 8 and 8 because Jared Goff was a free agent. So 16 players in 5 drafts are starters. And Tyleek Williams, and the reason why Isaac Tesla is up there is because he is our third receiver, and he's definitely earned the ability to be a starting, third receiver. You compare him to anybody else, and he had a great rookie season for the amount of snaps that he played, right? And he plays special teams. So just in starters alone, we have at least 16 drafted players that are starters, and all of these guys are good. All of them. Over half of them are all Pro Bowlers. I think he's doing all right. Yeah. I think Brad Holmes is doing just fine.
I have no problem.
So if you were to look at this and say, okay, well, where are we going to get better on offense and defense? Well, I would say, okay, left tackle, because right now you got Mahogany, and then if I were to put someone behind him, that's Miles Frazier. You could put now we have Cade Mays in the center. So you've got Sewell, Tyleek, Cade Mays, Mahogany or Frazier. And so you need a left tackle, right?
Yeah, you're basically only missing one piece on offense.
You need a left tackle and or a right tackle, but right now it's a left tackle. So if Sewell goes to left, then you need a right tackle. I'm not sold on, that Borum is our starting right tackle, but again, it gives Brad options. It gives them a great option to go into this draft and say, I don't have to reach. I can do whatever I want. I can go get my guys. And that's exactly what he's doing. He has his, like, if we started the season right now, we're going to win a lot of football games with the roster that we have. But if you go into this draft and say, I don't have to do anything, but go get my guys, now he can F them picks. He can do whatever he wants because he has a starting roster today. So there you go. Right now on offense, you are missing a left tackle. That's the X. And if Penei Sewell moves to the X, then you need a right tackle. That's your move. And if you really want to be smart, you're going to end up grabbing the center of the future when Connor Lew slips. On defense, you have Ali McNeil. I should probably write this better. You have Ali McNeil, Tyleik Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, then you have JC, DB, Kirby, BB, TA, Reed, DJ Reed. Who are we missing? So we are missing your Will Linebacker. And you have DJ Wanham. You have Peyton Turner at the right side. But let's just throw an X over there for now. You need an edge.
And you need a defensive tackle.
Edge of the future. And, well, technically, we have our starting two. We have Ali McNeil and Tyleik Williams. This is just starters, not depth guys.
Yeah, okay.
Just starters. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 11. So realistically, we are only missing 2 guys. And that's it. I'm saying it's drafted starters. We are missing 2 guys, a Will Linebacker and an edge. That's it. So if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm going into this draft and it is offensive line, defensive line, linebacker. Now, beyond that, then it's future, it's depth. Because anything beyond the 3rd round in this draft is depth anyway. If you think that they're starters, they're not. Now, can they be starters? Yes, they can. Can you get lucky and find a diamond in the rough? Yes, you can. Will it happen? Probably. But will it happen for the Lions? Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. Brad's done a good job with that so far. So we have 3 players that we're missing. Derek. We have 3 players that we're missing. I'm looking at Derek Barnes here and calling you Derek. We have 3 players that we're missing on both offense and defense combined. Now, do we want an upgrade? Let's look at it from this standpoint. Do we want an upgrade at corner? Maybe, right? How about trade DJ Reed? Why don't we trade DJ? Maybe we can get some good draft cap back for him. That to me is a mock trade that I would be in on. Trade him. I'm surprised it wasn't done already. We need an upgrade or insurance at free safety.
So DJ Reed, what did we sign him to? A 3-year deal?
Like a 3-year, like $15 million a year.
So we got him for this year and next year.
Yep.
And he really didn't show us too much in year 1.
He was injured, but I would say if we want an upgrade, I would look at corners as option number 1 and DBs overall as my biggest option. But we brought in Clark, we brought in Izzian, we brought in McCreary, and just to have those 3 guys, those are extremely good football players. I get it that Izzian hasn't played a ton. He's been relegated to special teams because of what they did, right? They went and brought in 2nd-round picks. They started him. They paid Winfield. They started him, right? Izzian wasn't going to beat those guys out even if he was better anyway, because maybe the Tampa Bay Bucks don't value player versus pick. You know, that the Lions do. They do value player versus pick, player versus money. You might be getting $15 million a year, but if this dude's better, we're playing him. That's how the Lions look at it. Not every team operates that way. You know, from the top down, you might get a directive that says, I just spent how much on that player and you have him on the bench? Put him in.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they go about that, you know? So if I'm looking at this from this perspective, yeah, who needs graphics? We're just going to do some shitty drawings.
There you go.
Upgrade at TA? Sure. Upgrade over DJ Reed? Possibly. But it's the K and the BB for me, man. It's Kirby Joseph and BB that we need insurance or an upgrade. So, again, going into the draft, now it's, do we really need O-line first? Nope. Do we really need edge first? Nope. We got that covered. I'd say it's DB. If I'm giving you guys what I do behind the scenes, I'd say it's DB. Like, that's your number one position on defense that you're going to go after. After that, it's linebacker. And then after that, it's edge. So in DB is everything, right? Corner and safety. Well, if TA's in the clear and DJ Reed's healthy, well, then we go to the next spot, safety. So now it's safety, linebacker, and then edge. Why linebacker? Well, we didn't bring in a guy. I mean, we did, but we didn't bring in a guy of the future. And I think it would be nice to have a nice young, up and comer as a will linebacker that's going to be around for the next 4 years at a minimum, that can grow with Jack Campbell. And that's, I mean, you would love to have that room just be solid. Great backup in depth with Malcolm, a spot starter in Damon Clark. I think the Lions are doing good, so they don't have to just necessarily focus on that. And linebackers are going to be like gone in a hurry in this draft. So where's the potential now, the likelihood of the Lions moving all the way up to get Sonny Styles? I think it's up there. Or where's the likelihood if they value Cassius Howell as an outside linebacker, can he play the position? I don't know that I have any tape on that. I don't know if I've watched any film on that. I think in a 3-4 scheme, he projects more as an inside backer, but I don't know his coverage. I don't project him as an edge. So if they do value him as a potential will linebacker that is fast, he can close the space down. He's got short arms, so it's going to be hard to, really contend with the football. However, compare his arm length to other linebackers in the league, and it's not that far off. I mean, you have some outliers like Devin, Ezeraku, Knight. I mean, those guys have really long arms, and so do others. But I would say if you're a will linebacker and your arm length is in the 32-inch range, I think you're doing okay, right, across the board. On the offense, so again, I'll say it's safety, linebacker, then edge on defense. If I was the GM, this is what I would be doing. And I know it's not what you want, like not you specifically, but the fan base. I know it's not what they want. They want this shiny penny that's an edge rusher. On offense, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I need a running back of the future to pair with Gibbs. Okay, but how important is that? I need a left tackle of the future unless I really want to send Sewell over to the left. I don't think that Sewell is a left tackle at the pro level. Not saying he can't play the position, he can. But when you look at Penei Sewell, overall, and yell at me if there's something in the chat we need to point out.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's commenting anything good. Sewell's 6'5", 33 1/4 inch arms, 10 3/8 inch hands, 331 pounds. He has left tackle size. His arm length has been fine. His pass blocking has not been great. His run blocking's been good, but his pass blocking has not been great. So when I look at what he's done in the league so far, do I want to put a guy out on the left side where the pass blocking has not been great? It's been good, but it has not been elite. Now, that doesn't mean he's given up a bunch of pressures or, hurries or sacks. Take a look at his stats real quick. His pass block last year was the best it's been ever, but there was plenty of games where you could just tell something wasn't right, whether he was battling injury or was scheme, whatever it was. He was struggling at times. He let up 2 sacks last year, 6 hits, 11 hurries, 19 pressures. In 2024, he allowed 1 sack, 5 hits, 23 hurries, 29 pressures. Probably his worst year from a pressure, well, it was his worst year from a pressure and hurry standpoint. The year before that, 23, only 1 sack, 6 hits, 18 hurries, 25 pressures. When I look at pressures overall, and I look at the elite status in the NFL of who's who, anything over 22 pressures a year is the next tier down. 21 pressures and lower is you're looking at an elite tier there. Really, I could probably go down to 16 or 17 for that first tier. Second tier being that 17 to 22-ish, and then third tier being 22-ish and more, right? So I think he's kind of in that bottom tier for allowing pressures. Some days are better than others, but I think that scheme, and I think that Tate Ratledge being a rookie, having a tough season, all of that matters, right? But the scheme, the confusion that these guys are playing through was a problem. And maybe that disappears this year. Now, he didn't have a lot of penalties last season. Back in 21 and 22, he had 10 penalties in each season. That's a ton. He also gave up 5 sacks his rookie year on the right side. Why is that? No one's talking about this, Eric. Why is that? Why did he give up 5 sacks, 35 pressures, and 22 hurries as a rookie?
I don't know.
Take a guess. Why do you think? It's all guessed anyway.
Inexperienced.
Why?
Because the pro game is much different than the college game.
Sure, but I'm going for something else.
I don't know.
He went from left to right.
Yeah.
That's why. So I think Penei Sewell was the absolute perfect choice for the Lions. But moving him left to right came with a patience factor. You're going to have a rough first year because it's the NFL. You're going to have an even rougher first year because we're switching positions on you. So from him going to right to left, I don't think we need to worry about welcome to the NFL anymore. He's been doing it long enough. So now it's just getting, the set, the slide, all that stuff worked down, his mechanics down, his fundamentals, all that stuff needs to be on point. The muscle memory's gone. He doesn't have it anymore. He's been in one position for 5 seasons. You have to rebuild that muscle memory. What happens if he goes to set and he just trips up because he's trying to set for right tackle? And then he just gets bull rushed and JG gets clobbered. That could happen. Could happen to anybody. But I think it could happen more to someone switching positions. And by all means, I'm not saying that Sewell's not a great tackle. He is. He's top 2, top 3 in the league. When I'm looking at offense, I'm saying, okay, I need a running back of the future. Where is it on the priority list? It's not a priority this year. It'd be great, but that's a luxury pick. Left tackle is probably the most important. And then I would say left guard, I think we have enough players to play left guard. Okay. One of those guys is going to be the left guard. They just need to fight it out. Backups, I think we have plenty of depth and the offensive line position. So I would say receiver, who's on the receiver list this year for the Lions? Well, our top 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Isaac Tesla. Behind them, you have Jackson Meeks, Dominic Lovett, and who else? I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's Dortch?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dortch. I forgot about Dortch.
Yeah.
He's in at the slot. Brock Wright, Sam LaPorta, Conklin. And that's it for tight ends, right?
Yeah.
Zach. We have Zach Horton too.
But our tight end room is very,
it's weak.
After LaPorta, it's a big fall off, and I really truly believe they need to get a second tight end in this draft.
So going through this list, I would say we have Dort. She's punt return, kick return, slot. Perfect pickup for the Lions. That was such an amazing pickup. Dominic Lovett, Jackson Meeks, they're going to battle it out for that 5th spot, or potentially the 5th and the 6th spot. And then behind that, you have Malik Cunningham and Tom Kennedy. Well, I think Tom Kennedy is going to battle Dortch for the return role, but I think Dortch is going to beat him hands down. Do we need another wide receiver of the future? And I would say with the receiver class that we have this season, in this draft, I would love to upgrade my 5th and 6th option. If the Lions are going to carry 6, which I would expect that they're going to carry 6 this year, I would love, like we didn't have an issue with Jackson Meeks or Dominic Lovett on the practice squad. And if they're not developed any more this season than where they were last year, which they should be, okay, upgrade at receiver. But where's that on the list? So I'm going to put running back, wide receiver on the bottom.
For me, since this is such a deep class in wide receiver and we're pretty much set at wide receiver, I'm going to let all the other teams use their picks on wide receivers while I get everything else.
Makes sense. That's why I'm putting wide receiver dead last.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at this offense, I'm saying, look, I need a left tackle. I need a left tackle. I don't want to put Panay over on the left side. I really don't. But is there a left tackle in this draft that they're super excited about? That is the question. I don't see it. You know what I really don't see? If you're going to take a right tackle in this draft,
yeah,
and you're going to push that right tackle to go play left, how idiotic would that be when you have Panay Sewell?
Yeah.
Right. So
why
I think,
do it to both of them?
Well, no, you're going to do it to one or the other. You're not going to bring in a right tackle and push them to left. No, you're going to put Sewell
that's
on
what
the
I mean.
left,
Why
right?
would you do that to 2 positions? Have them be out of their natural position.
Exactly. So I think that if you're not in love with a left tackle and you are in love with a right tackle, then the Panay Sewell move makes sense. Or no, then I guess it does make sense. But then I don't think you need a right tackle. I think between Giovanni Manu, Larry Borum, which they have Larry Borum penciled in at the left, and they have Panay on the right. I would say between Larry Borum and Panay and Giovanni Manu, you have somebody. Like
That's
ESPN.
fine.
ESPN doesn't even have Giovanni Manu listed on our depth chart. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's at the bottom. I see him. So if you got Gio and Borum on the right, I mean, that's a good start, but you need an upgrade there. So the way I'm looking at this draft, it would be left tackle first. If it's not available, right tackle. And then after that, it's running back and wide receiver.
Tight end for me.
Oh, I'm sorry, tight end. I forgot tight end. So left tackle, right tackle, tight end, running back, wide receiver in that order.
Yes.
In that order. If the left isn't there, we go to the right. If the right's not there, we go to the tight end.
And then if for some reason there's a quarterback that falls because nobody's taking quarterbacks in this, and you want to take a developmental quarterback in the 6th, 7th round, fine. Put that at the end of the list.
I'm looking at this from first round.
Yeah.
Like 1st through 3rd. Left tackle, right tackle, tight end. Those are my top 3. So this is the this is going to be the vertical list, right?
Yeah.
You're going from top down, left, right, tight end, running back, receiver, quarterback. Defensively, from the top down, I'm going based on what I just figured out here. I'm going safety. I'm going linebacker. I'm going edge. Defensive line. Safety DB. Corner could be included in that. Linebacker, edge, defensive line. I mean, those are the only positions you have anyway on defense, right? And so if you're not moving all the way up to the top 7 to get Sonny Styles, I don't see where a linebacker makes any sense in the 1st round. And that's why safety would make sense in the first round for me, because there's a better safety in the first round than there would be a linebacker after Sonny Styles is gone, after Arvell Reese is gone. And that's really it. I mean, you have to look at these players for who they are too. And there's not a lot of will linebackers. And that's where I have the issue. You have Sonny Styles, Jacob Rodriguez, Kyle Lewis are your top 3 quote unquote will linebackers. Edge rusher, if I add that to the mix, then Cassius Howell is 35th. Jacob Rodriguez falls to 52. Kyle Lewis is at 53. So at pick 50, yeah, you could end up with a will linebacker, but how confident are you in a fifth-year senior in Jacob Rodriguez, 6'1" and 3/8"? He's got the size, 231 pounds. He has the weight. Is he going to be fluid enough? Maybe. His grade is a 6.5. He doesn't have great speed, and his stack and shed consistency is not great. But overall, man, he has a few 7s in there. Toughness, quarterback defense, which we need. Total points in the run game, his run defense is really good. His total tackle share is high. His missed tackle rate is marginal. So, I mean, he's a good pick, but his tape just didn't light me on fire, man. I'm missing something with him. I have to be. So you don't need a linebacker in the first round if you're not taking Sonny Styles, unless you move Cassius Howell. I mean, what do you think about Cassius Howell becoming a linebacker?
Possibly. Just wasn't he more of an edge?
Yep. Well, he is an edge, but he's an edge in college.
Yeah.
Right? Totally different ball game.
I'd rather not move somebody to a new position.
And honestly, he wouldn't be a will linebacker at 253 pounds. Well, I guess he could, because you know what? He has the speed. He's fast as all get out. He ran a 4.59. So for that kind of weight, you know, look at here, let me do an exercise real quick.
Man, that'd be a big linebacker.
I mean, that's Jack Campbell size.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are the best will linebackers in the NFL? Matt Milano was maybe at one point, and I think he's more of a middle. Zach Bond, Quincy Williams. Who else? You think of anyone?
I didn't even. I'm drawing a blank this morning. You're getting super on top of his game, Eric, this morning. Couple cups of coffee shy.
All right, let's see. Quincy Williams. We'll go there. 5'11", 225 pounds when he came into the league in 2019. He was selected in round 3. And he didn't do any testing at the combine. Okay, so could someone put something in the chat? Is there any will linebackers that you can think of?
Fred Warner.
That's a good one, probably.
Bobby Wagner.
Anthony
Zach
Hill
Bond.
Jr. is nowhere close to Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese. Anthony Hill Jr., you need to go watch his tape. It's not good. It is. He has a long way to go.
Here's some names. So you got Fred Warner, Zach Bond, Bobby Wagner, Levante David, who I think just
He's the one that retired.
Roquan Smith, Foya Said Alukan, Jack Campbell, Dre Greenlaw, Jordan Brooks, and Demario Davis. If any of those
Okay, so Fred Warner was a third-round pick, 6'3", 236 pounds, 32-inch arms. He ran a 4.64. Okay, Cassius Howell, 6'2.5", 253. You could probably have him shed 8 pounds, 245. But he ran a 4.59. So he's just as faster than, 0.5 of a second or 5/100ths of a second, faster than Fred Warner.
Yeah, and this says that Fred Warner is widely regarded as the top off-ball linebacker, consistently ranking in both coverage and run defense.
The problem I have with Cassius Howell, man, is his arms, 30.25-inch arms. He ran a 4.59, 32.5-inch vertical. Warner was 38.5. 9'7" broad for Howell. 9'11" for Warner. And again, the 4.64 to the 4.59 40. The difference is about 1 3/4 inches in arm length, 1/2 inch in hand size, and 1/2 inch in height, and about 20 pounds. Well, 17 pounds, which is a lot. But if you think that you can turn Cassius Howell, like, I don't know if he's any good in coverage. But if you could turn him into, and I hate to turn a player into something that he's not. But if you could turn him into an off-ball linebacker as opposed to a very short-armed edge, I think that the opportunity is there. But maybe that's better in a 3-4 scheme. Inside backer. Not an outside backer. So I'll probably die on that hill alone. I don't think anyone's even thinking of that. So anyway, that's it. And then I guess just kind of going through, the where is it? The big board. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. There we go. Just going through the big board, you can kind of see where these guys will end up. There's Anthony Hill Jr. He's rated as my 5th or 6th linebacker right now. I don't know why this site's taking forever to load. He's a 6th grade. Says Hill will need to develop his abilities in coverage and clean up some over-aggressiveness to reach his ceiling, but his football intelligence, downhill thumping style, and difference-making blitzing ability will make him a starter at the next level. His man coverage is not good. High-end speed is not good. He's overly aggressive, which means he's probably biting too much. He's got good toughness, good stuff value. So in the pass game, he's a raw coverage linebacker. Oh, you got to run.
Yeah, I just sent you something, though. I want you to check it out before I go.
Oh, my God.
Got you a new thumbnail.
Oh, my God. Dude, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, should get a t-shirt made up.
You know what? I'm gonna do something like that for my Edge review.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a great t-shirt.
Uh,
Dude, that's hilarious. Don't share it with anyone yet.
Yeah, no. I just kept that.
All right, so Hill in his pass game, raw coverage linebacker. He has the ball skills and instincts to create impact plays. In zone coverage, he has the mobility and athleticism to get width and depth in his drops while maintaining his eyes in the backfield and scanning for receivers entering his zone. He has shown comfort in starting out in the slot and dropping to the sidelines, but he works best in dropping through the middle. He does show good recognition of the screen game and has the straight line speed to attack and close down on blocks or make a play on the receiver. He does not have the hip fluidity to open up and change direction quickly to react to multiple routes entering his zone. He has the natural hands and ball skills to get in throwing lanes and come down with an interception. He lacks techniques to be an effective defender in man coverage. He can sufficiently cover running backs out of the backfield, but he can struggle to cover better route runners. His change of direction can be a step below at the next level. He will struggle to recover the space that he will give up. Where he can be a difference maker is in the pass game as a blitzer. He can attack with speed and violence at the line of scrimmage to work his way to the pocket or into the pocket, and he can work out of the A gap or off the edge. He can be effective in twist stunts to get through the middle of the pocket. He closes with speed on the quarterback and attacks with sound tackling form to wrap up the quarterback for a sack. So it would be a technique thing. If you're looking at Hill from that perspective, it would be a technique thing. And I think that's the question that would have to be answered.
Hey, Will?
Yeah, I know you got to run.
I got to run. I got a couple of deliveries that are getting dropped off right now.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you guys.
See ya. So let me try this other. So much you guys think about this new draft look. Where's it at? Here we go. So I think it's a technique thing that if you're looking for Anthony Hill to join this Lions squad, then what is Calvin Shepard going to do? Now, I've been saying for a couple years, I think last year that the linebackers are going to get more involved in the game. We did see that last season. But how many blitzes did we run where the linebackers couldn't get home? It was quite a bit. Our linebackers continually got stuck, especially at the line of scrimmage. So to that point, okay, he could be, a guy that you would bring in from a blitz perspective. But if he can't cover man to man, that's what the Lions run. They run man defense. And if you can't cover man to man, at least according to this overview here, this scouting report, then that's a problem. Because the Lions are in man defense 55% of the time. And if he's on the field in man defense, then he's a liability. So can he get better than that or better, in that? Sure. He can. It might take time, right? It might take time. And I would say that our second round pick, whoever that is, our second pick in this draft has to start. And they have to play a lot of snaps and they have to play to a high level. And so I don't know if taking, a guy like, well, I do know, taking a guy like Anthony Hill over a bona fide starter that can do everything that you need him to do, I think would be a mistake by taking a guy that is more of a project than a bona fide starter. I think he'll be a starter at some point, maybe on a different team, probably a 3-4 defense. When you look at how that scouting report kind of boiled it down to me, what I was hearing in my own head was 3-4 inside backer. He's better in the drops to the middle. He's not as good, to the perimeter. And that tells me 3-4 inside backer he'd be perfect at, because you have three other guys that, you're working with. And if he's controlling the middle and he's a thumper and he works, best in twist and stunts, that's not a 4-3 outside backer. That's not a will linebacker. That's going to be someone that I think projects a lot better inside a 3-4 scheme. That's just me. It's just my opinion. That's where I'm at with it. Yeah, linebackers take a couple seasons to get going. They do. Jack took his second year was a great year. His third year was even better. It takes a little bit, but we're looking for guys to start immediately and give this team a lot of reps. So if you bring him in as a rotational guy, that could work. But how many of you would be upset that your second round pick is not playing, right? If he can't beat out Damon Clark or, Malcolm Rodriguez, then I think that would be a problem for a lot of people. For me, I want the best player on the field. And if it's not your rookie, it's not your rookie. And then that's why I just did this exercise, right? That's why I just went through, all of these players that you look at, where we drafted guys. And Brad, what I failed to say is he spread everybody around the field. He didn't just go here, and spend all of his resources in one area. He spread all of these amazing athletes around the field to make this team better. So when everyone's crying about edge and we need the second edge, no, you ended up getting a JMO. You ended up getting, anyone else that you can think of. Tyleek Williams. You ended up getting who else came after? Who else came after Aiden? All the players on the defense that came after Aiden. And you didn't go deep into edge again. You ended up getting Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam LaPorta, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, Christian Mahogany, a 6th-round pick that's been a starter. Tyleek Williams, Tate Ratledge, Isaac Tesla, Miles Frazier, who's been a starter. So Brad has taken his resources and he spread them around the field so that he doesn't have to worry about any one position. But if you were to worry about any one position right now, it's left tackle or right tackle on the offense. On the defense, it's safety for insurance, and we don't know what the hell's going on there. And it's linebacker, and then it's edge. If you're not confident at safety, you're going to give up buckets of points. Just know that. Your edge defender will not help you win games if you can't defend the deep thirds. I don't know how to better explain it. It's a math problem. You got to figure it out on your own. No edge is going to get to the quarterback in under 2.6 seconds more times than not to affect the passer. It just doesn't exist on any team or any time throughout the NFL. It's never existed. So, not that they can't get there that quick, but to do it on every play and to do it on every passing down does not happen. But what does happen is the safety is back there to defend. And that safety gives you a better shot paired with an edge rusher to give you a better opportunity at defending the pass. They're required. I mean, they work together. And if we don't have confidence in safety this season, every team is going to know that. And if you don't think that Caleb Williams is not just going to chuck it downfield, he's going to. He's going to tear you up because he's going to run away from the other edge on the other side, and he's going to throw it downfield. Patrick Mahomes is going to do the same thing, and everybody else that we play is going to do the same thing. They're just going to roll out and chuck the duck downfield if you don't have a safety. Edge ain't going to help you. Your will linebacker could help you because they can help you go shut down the leaky quarterback when they decide to run. There's Robbie. Yeah, he's done a wonderful job. Jermaine Pratt and Devin White. Yeah, if they're still available, there's got to be a reason why. And I don't see where the Lions are going to continue to bring in more linebackers though either. Why is Jermaine Pratt still available? That's a big question. How long has he been in the league? 7 years? 6 years? I don't know that. Let me just look him up. Here's Pratt. So it looks like last year he played in 4 weeks and didn't play again. Oh, no, wait. Did he move teams? Yeah, he went from Las Vegas to Indy. And then he played the rest of the time in Indy. His coverage is not great. Looks like he was averaging about 55, 60 snaps a game. No sacks. No hits on the quarterback. 3 pressures all season. 1 batted pass. 3 hurries. 81 tackles. 95 tackles total. Missed tackle percentage is stud work, man. 5.6 and 4.3. That's amazing. Great tackler. Must be good in the run game. Let's look at his grades. Run defense is decent. It's not popping off. Its tackling is beautiful. But no leverage in the pass rush. Coverage is suspect. Looks like his coverage has been suspect his entire career. Yeah, he's been averaging a 97.4 passer rating when targeted. Gave up 4 TDs last year, 3 the year before that. That's quite a bit. He's given up about 9.4 yards per reception. 76.3% reception percentage. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about Pratt. Who was the other guy? Devin White? Let's take a look at him. Another guy out of Vegas. 2019 draft year. Wow, was he the 5th pick overall in 2019? And he's not on a team? Oh, well, that's why. He's someone that can get after the quarterback a little bit. 3 sacks last year, 28 through his career. Got some hits on the quarterback. So he's been used in blitz options more than Pratt was. His tackle percentage is pretty high. He's also given up a 79.3% completion percentage. 101.4 overall passer rating when targeted. Didn't give up about 1 TD last year. Did pull down an interception. Had 3 pass breakups. Last season before that, he must have been injured. He only had 176 snaps. So it's a good bounce back year for him, but that's why he's available. I mean, you just got to look at take PFF for the face value. If his work is this bad, that's why he's available. You do have to take into consideration the team around him too. But if he's a former number 1 first round 5th pick overall, there's got to be something. And I'll just base it on what I see here. His grades aren't the greatest. I don't know of anyone else available really. I think it's the draft, man. I think it's the draft for the Lions, and they're gonna have to do something crazy, or they really trust, who it is that they're gonna go after with the picks that they have, and especially in that second round. Last night, again, when we did that mock draft, like the 3 of them that I did, or yesterday, the players disappear after 99. According to Spotrac, the players that are available right now, as far as linebackers, Bobby Wagner's 96 years old. Levante David retired. Bobby Okereke, too much money, $10 million. I thought Matt Milano got picked up, but he's 31 years old. He wants $6 million plus. I thought Devin Bush also got picked up. I don't know why it's saying that he's available. Amin O, is he really still available? Jermaine Pratt is in that at $2 to $3 million range. Everyone's pretty old, man. A lot of these linebackers that are free agents, a lot of them are 28, 29, 30, 32, 35. Devin White's kind of low on the totem pole. He's in that $2 to $3 million range too. No one excites me that's available. Anyway. Styles is not overrated, Gaviscon. He's not overrated. No, I could care less about his combine. He did great at the combine. You go watch his film. So was Reese overrated too? Yes, Raw, I would. But there's a reason why they just brought in the players that they did. They didn't bring in Pratt or White because they brought in Clark. That's why they brought Clark in. And they brought in Wanham, who can drop back a little bit too. And they have Malcolm Rodriguez, who they have confidence in. But yes, I would definitely take a rookie over a $3 million aging linebacker that has terrible grades and gives way too much up. I mean, if I were to compare that to, let's compare that to Alex Anzalone, how much worse would you get? And I think that what we loved about Alex Anzalone is his sideline to sideline ability and his tackling ability and his range and his coverage. So if we were to compare this to both of those guys, let me do it real quick. Yeah, so to your point exactly, Gaviscon, one combine does not replace 4 years of tape. You're right. Those years of tape on Sonny Styles are amazing. Like you would be the one of the only people out there saying that Sonny Styles is overrated and not a good player. Like his tape is damn near flawless. He's extremely good. He has very few weaknesses. The only question is, where are you going to put him? Inside backer, outside backer, or on the edge? Like, that's your problem with Sonny Styles. Where are you going to put him? Yeah, and Raw B, like, to your point, like, I'm extremely good. I'm super happy we didn't get Quay Walker. Like, to me, that was a bullet dodged. He's just been a problem. He's been a problem. He doesn't meet the requisite player, if you will, that the Lions are looking for. All right, so let's compare this Pratt guy to Alex Anzalone. I'm just going to go to season grades. Make it a little bit bigger. We'll just go to season grades. So Alex Anzalone's on the left, 1,003 snaps. Jermaine Pratt had 900 in 13. Why is it not as big? What's going on here? Come on. Why is it not the same size? Oh, I see why. I'm an idiot. All right, coverage snaps. 504 for Alex last year, 457 for Pratt. Defense. Pratt was a 63. Alex Anzalone was a 67.5. Run defense. Pratt was a 67.6. Alex Anzalone was a 65.6. That's not enough for me to be excited about. Tackling. Alex is a 78.5. Pratt, 81.5. Pretty damn close. Pass rush, non-existent really for Pratt. Coverage, 57, 60, 65 for Alex Anzalone. The real numbers are, what do you actually do in the pass game, right? 3 sacks for Alex, 4 hits, 11 hurries, 1 batted pass, 68 tackles. No sacks, no hits, 3 hurries, 1 batted pass, 95 tackles for Pratt. Missed tackle percent, 5.4. Alex, 6.9. He's done much better his last 2 years. These 3 seasons here, like 21, 22, 23, man, that was god-awful for Alex Anzalone in the tackling. But I think you have to look at the team around him, too. All right, let's go to what he does in actual coverage. He was targeted. Alex was targeted 61 times. Pratt, 65. 40 receptions for Alex, 43 for Pratt, so very close from a reception percentage. They're only separated by, 0.6 points. Yardage is about the same. Yardage per reception is about the same. Yak is a little bit better for Alex. Pratt gave up 4 TDs. Alex gave up 2 interceptions. Alex had 1. Pratt had 1. PBUs, pretty even. 88 passer rating against, 97 passer rating against for Pratt. And then where do they line up? Pratt is more inside the box, whereas Anzalone was covering more downfield. So if we were to dissect that a little bit more, I would say that Alex Anzalone was probably taking on more slot receivers, more tight ends, and Pratt could have been taking on more tight ends and running backs coming through the middle, but less receivers, less slot guys. So it's not a huge difference from last year, but this is the key. Who are you getting overall, right? And if you look at the overall grading, Alex has been a better football player, and at any moment, Alex is going to give you the hustle play. Let's go to the next guy. Who was the other guy? Devin White or something? Wasn't it Devin White? I have a feeling this one's going to be a major difference. Coverage, 554. And yeah, that's a major difference from a grading perspective. Pretty close. 564 for Alex. Coverage snaps. You're only separated by 10. But Alex has him beat pretty bad across the board. Right now, Jermaine Pratt would be the only guy that would make any sort of sense. These guys are pretty even when it comes to what they're doing behind the line of scrimmage, as far as pressures, sacks, hits, hurries, all that good stuff. Not much going on there. 133 tackles is freaking crazy for Devin White. That is just crazy that he had that many tackles. That tells you that their front line sucked. Missed tackle percentage. Well, when you have that many opportunities, your missed tackle percentage is going to be a little bit higher, and his was a lot higher. 44 stops to 64, but then again, he had a lot more opportunities. Who did he play for again? Oh, yeah, Vegas. So, yeah, Vegas got run roughshod all over in the run game. Reception percentage, 79. Not terrible. Compared to Alex, Alex was a little bit better. But he gave up a ton of yards. 671 yards, 8.1 average is low, but he was giving up a lot of little chunk plays. Yak yardage, Devin White. Where is it at? Yak yardage. 159 for Alex. 426. That means his pursuit is terrible. He's not able to drop the guy where they catch it. So he clearly was losing a lot of ground in coverage. They were getting a lot of separation on him. So hard pass for me on White. And yes, I believe a rookie could be that bad or better. I would take my chances on a rookie. But that's just me. Jermaine Pratt's interesting, but too much money, more than likely. The Lions, operating from a penny pinching standpoint, not because they're cheap, but because they don't have a choice. They signed a lot of guys, and they want to sign some guys. So on the way out, I'll say this, man. The Lions' key additions this year: Cade Mays, Isaiah Pacheco, Larry Borum, Juice Scruggs, and now Chuck Clark. Some key re-signings with Rockhound and Levi Onwuzurike. Big departures. You had David Montgomery, Alex Anzalone, Amik Robertson, Roy Lopez. That one hurts. Al-Qadim Muhammad to a lesser degree. I think that they've done a good job at maintaining their edge right now. I think the Lions are in a good position going into the draft. I think that, doing this exercise today, when you look at who's on the field and where these players have been drafted and how they're helping this team win, we're not that many players away from fielding a team of absolute studs. And I think that with some of the free agents that we brought in, I think both Wanham and Peyton Turner alone, I mean, just those two guys, with the addition of Chuck Clark and Damon Clark, I mean, the whole right side of your defense, I feel just got majorly better. Production-wise, we'll see what happens. But I think from a deficiency standpoint, the Lions got way better. My biggest concerns are safety and left tackle. Safety and left tackle. You can find an edge later. Defensive line, I think, is another key area. But I would probably look at safety and linebacker, defensive line, and edge as my top 4 positions on defense. And obviously, it's just left tackle on the offensive side of the football. I don't think there's much really that we need to do on the offensive side, at this point. If you find a great value on a receiver, I'm never opposed to having another great receiver. And then tight end. I would say, between the tackle and the tight end, those are probably your 2 biggest keys. And that's it. So we'll be back tomorrow. I'm hoping to have some things out today. Canva screwed me all up, man. They changed everything last night. Everyone's going through upgrades. I don't know why it's this time of year that they're doing it, but they are. So I got locked out of a lot of my assets, and I couldn't get anything done yesterday. So I'm getting back to videos today. It's raining, so I got nothing else to do but that. We got no schedule for the rest of the week. I cleared my decks, and it's time to get to work. So I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Big thanks to Chicken Nugget King 313 for popping in today. Please check out the link that I shared earlier. Subscribe to his channel. He'd greatly appreciate it. I would appreciate it too. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care. Adios.